video stream. Is she telling us something? Keep my mouth shut. Be nice to her.
Tennis shoes. I need to wear some bobbleheads. I'm getting there. I lost 18 pounds so far. I'm working on it. I just cut horses and cars. That's it. How are you? Too much. That's what I do. My wife did it, and I thought, well, great job. She got me 114, I think. My wife, that's a big one. A lot of sugar. Yeah, a lot of sugar. And I love sweet diet.
There's that from a long time ago. My first years.
It's 7.
And now we have this. Now we have this.
Did it get emailed? Yeah, we're keen on the actual invite. I'm going to try it. Yeah, I'm going to try it. What's that? Yep, okay.
I know that. Do you know about that?
Too much.
Yeah.
You know, like that. Yeah. I've never got one of those. Well, it didn't get out. I never got one either. Let me start this now. Okay. Welcome everyone. This is the official Montgomery Economic Development Corporation regular meeting, and it is set for Tuesday, March 25th, and the time is 6:01, I believe. We have, I believe, we're missing just Ryan and Dean, so all the other board members are here. We have a quorum. I'd like to go ahead and get the meeting started. First off, we're going to start with our Pledge of Allegiance. It's right behind us here, okay? So, I pledge allegiance to the United States of America. Oh my goodness. I remember this one. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, indivisible. I have no idea where I am. I looked down, I'm like, why is that allegiance still on the other? Okay, so we're open for comments. Do we have any comments? Okay, no comments today, so we are going to start with the presentation by BCS Capital Group on a proposed new multifamily and mixed-use commercial development on 32 acres. It's at the southeast intersection of C.B. Stewart Drive and Buffalo Springs Drive, and north of Eva Street. And I believe you guys, we have people here. Wow! We're good. Just introduce yourself if you don't mind, and then step up to the mic and let us know where I know you.
Perfect. My name is Jack Burke with BCS, and this is James Todd.
Okay.
I'll give the high-level plan, and then I'll have Jonathan and our team kind of come up and give the...
What's your position, by the way?
I'm the principal, BCS.
Okay. Mike?
So I'll pass it out, the numbers, kind of the math behind it, which we know everyone cares about.
Thank you.
And we just appreciate you guys taking the time to let us present our latest plan. A lot has transpired over the last week. We had a city council meeting last week. It has become clear that the off-site drainage plan that we originally intended to do is not going to be feasible. Our seller is worried about potential future ramifications. There's also potential for TCQ to get involved, because the timetable associated with that doesn't work for us and for our tenants. And so what we have is our latest plan. We haven't had a chance for our architect to drill down the actual site plan, so this is a little bit of a makeshift plan, but it gives the big picture. So it's a 32-acre reserve. That has not changed. But we're now adding on-site detention, which is going to take up approximately 6.5 to 7 acres. We're still fine-tuning that. We really won't know until we do the drainage study to get textile approvals. We have a Class A multifamily development for that, which we know, from the very onset with the city, has been a very sensitive subject. And so what we've done is brought in the Morgan Group, which is a best-in-class owner-operator of Class A multifamily out of Houston. Where we put together renderings of actual product, both interior and exterior, what it would look like. It's a quality product. It's the best-looking product in the city of Montgomery, or will be today. A similar product that's nearby is off 105, that Fine Development built across from the lake. We can send that address. We've got a cabin. We know that is kind of the biggest carrot we have to offer, not only for the city and what it provides, but from a sales tax and ad valorem tax situation. So we have a cabin to go in the middle. We're planning to build some restaurant and retail next to it. And then we've got plus or minus 5 pad sites out front. So that's the high level of the plan. Those pad sites will be heavily restaurant focused. We've got Texas Roadhouse, who's pretty much negotiated down the road. And we're going to deal with them in Magnolia right now. We're under construction, and they will do this deal over that deal. But we've got to move because they have a deal basically agreed to. It's not signed, and we can move them over here, which is sales tax dollars to the city. So that's kind of high level. Do you want to talk a little bit about the?
Good evening. Dr. Michael Wilson, engineering. I know that we did a presentation before with council and planning and zoning. So just representing more on the engineering side of things. Obviously, we engaged with the city and the feasibility study, which did earmark some infrastructure projects that would have to be done to be able to serve this development, including water line infrastructure, sewer line infrastructure. I do believe it gives us one public station in town, which will be a benefit. I think ultimately that's going to be a loop to help the redundancy through the heart of town and potentially help some future developments. If I were to speak to something that I don't want to know exactly all the details of that. And then obviously Buffalo Springs, when Home Depot got put in, Buffalo Springs was improved for 105, kind of their growth 16 with concrete pavement. The feasibility study did require that they would continue that roadway improvement all the way around the corner, the back end of the future multi-family site. So all those costs are getting added to everything. DCS Capital running their numbers. They've asked the city council for some assistance in terms of a reimbursement agreement, and then they also thought that it would be good to present to the EDC to see if there's any potential interest the EDC would have for potentially helping with some assistance. What they're looking for is providing all the upfront costs of all this infrastructure to be able to put everything.
Who's looking to do that?
We are.
Okay.
But certainly any and all reimbursements in terms of sales tax, I guess from the EDC, and then we all get a certain share of some of those sales tax revenues. If there's anything that can be pitched for a share of that over a certain term, that helps relieve some of the overall cost of the project.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to thank you. So, yeah, as it relates to that, the goal tonight is to really obviously share the overall vision, but then to really get into the nitty-gritty on how this is a net benefit and kind of like it to be open forum, we can discuss. And it's not totally black and white. At the end of the day, you know, it is a give and take. We're asking the city, we're asking you guys to help participate in this so that we can put this project on. If the project isn't, and if it's not enticing, if it's not incentivizing for the city, if it's not an entity, then like we might as well just pack our bags, you know? So the goal here is to say, look, how do we create a situation where it's a true win-win and that benefit to the city, to the constituents, and allows us to financially be able to do it. So that's where we are. We prepared a little kind of one-pager. These are conceptual numbers, guys, okay? The reality is we're going to get reimbursed. What we're proposing is getting kind of a typical creative, getting reimbursed through accretive dollars, accretive sales tax and ad valorem taxes that our property produces specifically. So we're going to front all the capital improvement dollars. We're going to go build everything. And the accretive dollars, the accretive sales and ad valorem tax that are coming from those assets, from those tenants, we're asking for a rebate of a piece of that over time. We've done this with different cities. We did this in Magnolia. We own the 51 acres next to the HEB across from the high school in Magnolia. They wanted Texas Roadhouse really bad. We couldn't pencil the Texas Roadhouse deal because you got to go put in a little over $1 million just for their pad side alone. And the city came through and said, hey, we want to turn this area over here into restaurants. Because originally we were just going to do a self-storage concept and a couple of other like medical group that proved zero sales tax. I said, hey, we'll help you. We'll give you $2.3 million. Because what that's going to do is get Texas Roadhouse, and now you're going to go to 3 other restaurants, and we're going to get, you know, plus or minus $20 million in sales tax that we would have gotten otherwise.
Right.
Good.
So I came in a little late, I apologize. What's the public infrastructure part, the 2.7 million?
What's the breakdown of it?
Yeah, like what does it consist of?
Yeah, so if you go down, if you flip to the other, flip the page over, you'll see the site-related cost breakdown. So you've got Buffalo Springs, you've got the linear utilities, you've got the impact fee, you've got the wastewater impact fee. And then another big cost to us, at the end of the day, it's just, for us, it's, as a developer, it's math, right? Like, it's a return on cost, and the denominator that we're solving for is a net IRR to our investor. If we can't achieve a plus or minus net 20% IRR to our investors, we just can't capitalize the project. We can't do it. So right now, we're just shy of like a 19 point something. So what we're asking for is basically, this is it. We need $4 million to help from somewhere. You know, whether that's
Question for you, now that you've lost, I see the 2 different drawings here, you've lost 6 acres to detention, which in the development world is terrible, but it's real. So when you do multifamily compared to, say, a hotel or whatever like that, what's your capital return? What's higher?
Well, a hotel would be higher.
I mean, that would, I mean, I'm just asking, and you're saying a Class A apartment complex, well, what does that mean?
Sure, so all things equal, a hotel it will pay you more. They'll pay you 18 to 20 bucks a buck. But they're 30 acres. Hotels, or multifamily is 13 acres. So if we look at carrying costs and how do we afford to do this deal and carry 32 acres, the ability to go sell off the far northern portion to a group that's ready to go today. We've got a really good relationship with the owners of the Morgan Group. That allows us, it de-risks our position, allows us to then go to be able to afford to do the academy, to do all the restaurant. So it's, without the multi, we can't buy the deal.
Right, okay, so are these HUD subsidized type apartments that they're building?
No, this is
Okay.
Class A.
Okay,
Yeah, no HUD subsidized. This will be the highest rents in the market.
okay, good.
All right, I have a question on the 2.7 again. So Buffalo Springs, why are y'all improving that? Is that a recommendation from you, Chris? Why are they improving Buffalo?
That was in the feasibility, and that was based on, essentially, city did the same thing with Home Depot, get the adjacent park completed. This was taking it up to C.B. Stewart to try to park.
On the back end?
Correct, taking it up to and through the C.B. Stewart intersection.
Wouldn't most of the vehicular traffic come from 105 up to is that because of the multifamily goes all the way up to Stewart?
Correct. So
But what about the other developments that would be coming in along that road in the future as well, or Methodist Church or whoever, don't they have?
So the Methodist churches.
I'm just wondering, why are we putting all the shares
So
on?
their share is only on Buffalo Springs, so CD Stewart intersection, not CD Stewart itself. They have a water line extension that covers along 105 in Buffalo Springs. The main thing there is we're concerned with water flow on Buffalo Springs. They're already close, so what Home Depot ended up doing was they connected to both Gardner and Buffalo Springs for their fire flow requirements. So adding in, 13 acres of apartments plus Academy and all the rest, we're concerned with that fire flow, so we're closing that water line loop to help with that flow. And, it was kind of the city's stance in the past of trying to get these roadway improvements funded, willing to participate and cost share and reimburse those, but at least give some upfront capital and get some of these roadway improvements done on these projects.
So there's undeveloped land on the other, so what's triggering the water again? Is it the fire flow from the commercial buildings? And they're triggering the need, Home Depot didn't trigger it?
So, yeah, Home Depot already have a water line on each side. So
Okay.
the
So it's like-
limestone development, we developed the Home Depot property, put water and sewer along 105 up Buffalo Springs to the property line. They also did Gardner Drive. Home Depot did Buffalo Springs and everything else. That was all done as kind of one master plan. So this, master plan development that's over this 32 acres is doing the same thing. So getting the utilities in that are adjacent to the property for them to connect to. You mentioned the church. The church is extending the water line along CD Stewart to get over to Buffalo Springs and to connect to that, to close that additional loop.
So we're requesting them to do these things for the development, and then they're asking to pass that along over to the EDC, essentially. And
Of course, we're interested in it.
right, well, yeah, I get that. So the EDC is basically paying for city infrastructure to support this development in short. I
So,
guess.
there's a portion of the project that that's the ask. So where we are, just to kind of catch everyone up. So at there was a second February meeting, the feasibility study was presented to council. Went through the options, then to an MOU. So the last week's meeting, there was a draft MOU presented for discussion at the council meeting. That is just what are the general terms of the MOU and how we develop the agreement. And now it's here to give you all an update on the presentation of what the development is, gauge your interest in participating in the reimbursement. What that looks like to be determined. It's not an approval item tonight. There's still a lot of steps to go to say, okay, it's going to be the full $0.25 or a portion of a $0.25. City hasn't made that determination either, and there's a workshop scheduled for Monday night to specifically dive into the MOU based on comments received from the last meeting, and then obviously also input here.
The other thing that needs to be clarified, and Ruby, you can probably help me, and Caleb, if MEDC does decide to do that, that has to be voted upon by the public. When we make an agreement from the EDC, the city doesn't have to, but the EDC does.
That's correct.
Yeah, and that's a 30-day process.
60-day waiting
Or
period.
60 days, yeah. So timelines, things like that. I just know if we choose to use tax rebate or whatever from EDC, it's a public issue.
And then the detention, it looks massive. I know what I'm looking at, everyone else does it, but this is insane. I do too. It's a serious Yeah, and there's some history here. Maybe you could explain some of the history and then why. Jonathan would be a well.
Yeah, so we are going to have to detain the TxDOT criteria. So TxDOT asked from,
I thought we were draining east to Kroger. It all drains to TxDOT?
well, from what we've attempted to try to do with our Plan A, which was getting it above Home Depot, sliding above Kroger, there wasn't really enough room to slide it onto Mr. Cliff's property without getting it into the Spring Lake. And so that going through the existing berm, and then downstream to Stewart's Creek and some of the infrastructure that we were going to try to plan for. There were some concerns about potential other jurisdictions and some timelines that would really impact this overall development and getting that secure. So now we looked at this option as about potentially controlling our own destiny, not relying on an offsite easement, offsite improvements, and potential other jurisdictions that could get in the way of that. Is, those are just going to be triggered by it. It's doing detention on site, which partial can go to Buffalo Springs, the other part can go to 105. However, everything goes to 105. And so we are having to detain at the Texas Road area. There is a drainage area right here, it's crossed over right by this driveway that goes here. So there's one sub watershed here, another sub watershed that comes underneath Buffalo Springs here, shooting by that culvert. And you've got the concrete line ditch that goes here. So everything ultimately goes to Stewart Creek. One way or the other, it's just how it gets there. And when we're impacting and going to TxDOT, we do have to drain to their criteria with their maps we done a long time ago and have that updated Atlas 14.
Even like 0.65 or whatever, it's still huge. So I would assume this would go down quite a bit. So
It would be the hope, but TxDOT doesn't have the most favorable criteria, in my opinion, and they getting through the bureaucratic drainage. The way they look at site development drainage is very different than looking at.
but you would shore all these numbers up before we come to any agreement. So I assume the pond will go down and the price of the pond and the land will probably go down. So we revisit these numbers once you get your drainage plan approved and we can actually see the true size and cost of the.
Yeah, I think within a couple of weeks, we could probably have maybe the size locked down. And a lot of the topography that we did kind of show a little bit larger spacers of transitional grading. We have one pond that would basically service the multi-family tract and the detention. The other one would service the the academy site and then also that site. We had to force everything to go up. So we're all building retaining walls along the front to elevate everything. So we've got to elevate everything about 5 or 6 feet from the corner of all those springs to 105, just to get stuff to drain backwards and drain.
So you want to drain stuff back to the pond?
Back to the pond.
You can drain to the Texas right away and over detain in the
There's
detention.
not enough of it, not far right to be able to do that. We're going to have to drain a part of the access road that will bypass, but if I bypass too much, I can't restrict it.
Well, we'll get in the weeds, but I always like to see the numbers whenever you put them together. I'm okay with providing some assistance, but I want to make sure the numbers make sense.
Yeah, I mean, we're not
We
going
need
to
to, I mean, detention resistance, because we get paid, getting paid back over time, there's time, value, money, opportunity costs, so like, we want to shrink our detention as much as possible. So
The previous we've done a previous 380 right with Kroger, is that right?
That's the only one. The last one we did was the one I negotiated.
But that was through the city, right?
Yeah.
Can the EDC do this?
No.
No, okay.
EDC has never been involved in,
So what,
So the EDC can, but it has to be voted on by the public. It
I'd rather come from the EDC in the city.
it all ultimately runs through the city, right? Voted on, and it's just, we have to agree to, if we want to do a portion of that 380, to give up a percentage of our cut for MEDC, right? We would vote on that and say, yes, that would get presented to the public for 60 days, excuse me. They vote on it and actually approve it. Then council would have to approve their part of it.
Councilmember Olson, I think there's a correction there. So it's not voted on by the public. The public can petition the expenditure.
There.
It's published in the newspaper, and then there's a public hearing on the matter. Then it goes to council, but it has to be, there has to be a 60-day waiting period where any member of the public can petition the expenditure, they can petition for election. So, just some clarification, you don't have to approve the original expenditure, just members of the public have the right to petition for that election.
but if they do, obviously you have to hold an election or a bond or whatever.
Correct.
That's correct.
Correct.
And, wow, you know our community, Bill.
How many petitions triggers an election?
I believe it's 10%.
How much?
10%, I believe, don't quote me on that, I have to verify. I think that's,
recently read that too.
I think that's the threshold.
So 200 people cut.
So what anyway, I'm sorry.
For us, whether it comes from EDC or the city,
committed? You have a signed commitment? Like they're committed?
So Wade can kind of tell you how this works too. Yeah, we've got an LOI.
Okay.
It's technically not mine.
Yep.
They will lead that into committee. We have to finalize the site.
Absolutely.
We keep changing the field a little bit with the detention, but they're in. Sales projections came back good. They want to be here. They get it. Montgomery is an academy market. Our hope and what we've heard from some people is that Montgomery's excited about academy. We have a deal that we can go do today, or not today, but have the thing under construction by the end of the year. And the math is, we're going to produce, if we can pull this all off the way we want to, produce roughly 1.377 million and accretive property tax and sales tax. And that's going to take a few years to get fully stabilized, and that's through perpetuity. We're looking at year 16 of over $2 million a year. So if you look at the payback, wherever the money comes in, $4 million is a 3-year payback. And then it's going to keep going up. In sales tax over the last 100 years in America, 200 doesn't go down, it goes up substantially. So I feel like it's a really good risk return profile for the city. I'm not saying EDC's got this, but I don't know how all the budgets work, but we have a deal ready to go today. We're not just like, hey, well, it's smoke, we got Academy, and Academy doesn't show up. This is all predicated on Academy.
You have roadhouse, she said?
We're willing to tie it to Academy, tie the deal to it.
Yeah.
And we've got roadhouse.
We don't know, would it be coming in without some type of anchor or?
Academies are anchored.
Yeah, but if Academy bails out.
Yeah, because when the Kroger,
I'm saying, is this development move forward without Academy or an anchor of some sort?
So my question is also, since this detention, retention area really bothers me about the loss of revenue. I mean, major,
city council.
well, I don't, I'm not, but I'm just, so I don't know the history and I don't know if it's a can of worms or anything, so if your original plan was to go east with it. Is that an issue that we would have to look at to where if there's, you say there's history?
I don't think
and eminent
there's-
domain will cure that.
I don't think
The issue is that they want us to pay for that line all the way over there, right? The two, basically the same amount.
We're taking 6 acres out of this
on
thing.
this piece of paper, so.
Makes the cost of the development go way up.
Well, I think that it's actually the same. They use the same numbers, basically. They're asking for 4 million the other night, they're asking for 4 million tonight.
Well, no, let me explain that. So, when you go off-site, it's a little more expensive, but you get a lot more land back. So,
You get more revenue coming in.
We would go, we wanted the seller asking for a price reduction for this on-site detention too.
Yeah, detention is $0.
And the city loses, as Dan alludes to, net effective because we're losing 7 acres, of which at least the top portion, we're going to try to do a hotel. So I don't know what kind of sales tax is generated from that, but somehow we definitely have to one. And then the bottom section was going to be all retail Russian.
I still think those detention ponds are,
They're way too
they're way too big. It's not gonna be that big. So I want to see the numbers
Later,
later.
roughly based at about 6 acres is what we're thinking, including transitional grading.
Even with all the topography out there, I mean, you can stack that water.
Well, we're subject to that. We're going to try to use some tracks, but if we can reduce it, we're 100% going to reduce it. Like, we will be a couple $1 million a year that we can bring in more AD, more sales tax, that will help numbers of the performance. But it will increase.
So we're looking at a situation where an owner's owned this piece of land since 2005, I believe. They've got a low basis. They don't, we don't do the deal, fine, it's going to sit there. And no retail developer is going to be able to make the numbers when it's sold today. Now, that could change in a year, 2 years, it could. But right now, Academy maxes out what they max out. And the multifamily maxes out what they max out. So I'm not saying that this site will be developed. It absolutely will be developed. It's, in our opinion, the best commercial reserve in the city of Montgomery. But we have a deal ready to go today with what we think is attractive with Academy, Texas Roadhouse, Class A multifamily in the back. We just need a little bit of help.
Yeah. Hey, my question for Chris, with this development, how would this affect our current well and water situation? I know we had a problem in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it's still tight. So, I mean, what the city has gone forward with, so the design of the waste expansion is away. The engineer is selected for the water plant, the new water plant, so that negotiation's underway. And the city just submitted $22 million worth of projects, and they were to get to the water development board for funding. Those were approved for the first step. So it's now down to the full, it was for do a project information form, they make sure it meets their criteria, it was approved, and now it's into the full application process. So, you know, the biggest driver here is obviously the multifamily. You know, Academy, it's a big store, but it doesn't come back. There's a lot of water. The restaurants will use water, but the biggest thing is the multifamily is the driver of the capacity. So it's tight, and all of our projections are conservative, but I mean, we're at a point where we have to continue to push to build these facilities. So the city's gone through, we've done a couple of rate analysis, we've got a financial advisor, he's come back with some recommendations on different funding sources to build the plants, but the city's gotten the permitting underway, or really mostly completed, and then the design work is underway to kind of keep pace with that development.
Chris, on the, how far did we go, how many feet, linear feet did we run from 105 to the improvement we did, where it stopped?
For the roadway?
Yeah.
Is it 1,300?
It's in 11.
Somewhere in there?
1,200, 1,300.
How far is it from there to where we want to go?
Probably about 500 more feet than what you did before.
It's about another 1,300 feet
So about the same distance?
from where Home Depot stopped to where, through the C.B. Stewart intersection.
So it's about the same distance?
Exactly.
Okay. And we did that for right around 850, huh?
So the total cost of both the signal, I don't have them combined in my mind, kind of both
The combined was like 1 point.
it was like 1.4, the actual final cost.
No, it was, that was our original budget was 1.4, but we come in way under.
It all came in, I think that the 3-year agreement listed a maximum cap of $2 million. It came in at roughly 1.4 with the signal and the roadway. And then, if I remember correctly, Home Depot put up a $750,000 contribution, and then the remainder was reimbursed through sales tax.
Yep, through a 380, yep.
Right.
Yep. So that's when I talk about a partnership, that's a partnership, right? They pay for some, we pay for some, everybody's happy. You're asking us to pay for it all. That's not a partnership, that's just us paying for it all. So a percentage I'm willing to do, but to just say, yeah, we'll help you develop this on the taxpayer's dollar, 16-year payback, that's a long time, guys. 16 years is a long time to get back to where, oh yeah, okay, we're square. Because we have to remember, just like the roads that are out there, they're less than 20 years old and they're all shot, and we have to rebuild them. So if we're putting all our money back to you to build them the first time, we'll have no money to rebuild them.
Well, it's just, you're gonna have nothing if we die. So you're gonna have 0 times 100. So.
At this point in time, but I'm not worried about Montgomery growing.
Yeah, but no, I understand that. If we go today and we produce $1.37 million accretive tax dollars coming in, then how's that a 16-year payback?
But because we don't get a penny of it until we pay you back.
But it doesn't take 16 years at that rate.
16 years. Takes
1.3 in the first year. I mean, that doesn't take 16 to get to 4.
So 1.3 is what you're
That's stabilized.
projecting.
That's stabilized. Once we, I mean, as fast as we can go, get this done, you guys get 1.4.
Well, that's what I was looking at, the numbers the other day. I said, this is terrible.
Of course.
No, that's just an example of what the city gets. You know, when we're long gone and paid back in 16 years, you're getting 2.5 or $2 million.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to your point about, some of the things we're doing, some of the things we're doing is going to benefit tracks that aren't ours.
Oh, I agree.
Buffalo Springs, the water line extension.
Yeah, it's no different than the road we built already for you.
And just remember the other tools that are applied that are already in the city's ordinances. So when a developer puts in a water line not adjacent to their property, they're allowed to collect a pro rata share of that cost from those future properties developed. That's what McCoy's did and what others have done. So that's a tool in the toolbox to help pay back that cost. And so there's multiple things here. What was in the feasibility study saying, you're taking it to along 105 to your western boundary of the property, which is traditional, and then the city decides to eliminate lift station 12 to go the additional 500 feet or so across the frontage. That would be a city cost. We would pro rata share that because that's not directly affecting. Right. And then the roadway improvements, the way that it was kind of initially thought was, to your point, I can't remember if Dan or Ryan has brought this up, is most of this commercial traffic is not heading north, it's heading on the 105, but the apartments was. So I said, when the apartments go, the roadway goes. So if the academy comes first, that roadway cost can be deferred until that impact is there on those, that.
Okay.
Another thing I'll mention, thank you Chris for that, is that, activity leads to activity, and no doubt, Montgomery, we love the city of Montgomery, we love Montgomery County as a whole. We believe, and we've heard that Montgomery County is going to double in size over the next 8 years. So the growth is tremendous. A lot of it's going to be how's growth responsible. So we're based out of Houston, but we have 4 big projects in Montgomery County with this hopefully being forward. And our goal in dealing with Philip, we've spent a lot of time this summer. And I know you guys might know the seller, you might not. Overall, he's a great guy. He's a hard seller. He doesn't really sell. And he's got 120 acres on the other side of the street.
Who are you talking about?
Philip.
Oh, Philip, okay.
And he's got 120 acres, and we built a report, and the goal here is a big picture goal, and that's deals and development leads to development, and the amount of residential growth that hasn't even come online yet. So there's a 120-acre site there with a beautiful lake, to program off of. And it's going to be different users, but there's a big picture for us here too. And so I don't want to sit here and say like that, this is going to lead to that for sure, but those are discussions we're having. So we've got big visions here for Montgomery, and we understand we're asking for help. We do, but we do think that the benefit to the city is a win-win.
So the reason that you decided not to go east is timeline?
We were basically,
It's still an open option, like I say, it's completely closed door, but can we do it without triggering other requirements? And that's where it's going to take a little time. I know we submitted the feasibility for the drainage study, but there's some things that we've got to do on our side to make sure we don't trigger something that could lead that long lead time. We just don't want to do that. That would cause a delay in the development. So
Anytime TCEQ gets involved.
So I guess my opinion on this is, whichever one of these is gonna be the best deal, right? I know the acreage is a big deal for tax income, right? It's a big deal for you guys to be able to sell off that acreage and not covered up with water. But also just the cost of it, right? So if our costs are similar, which it looks like you tried to make them similar, but like, this is why when he sat down, I said, Ryan, these ponds are gigantic. Look at this, please, right?
that was a hand sketch, though. It's too big, we're going to do it, and we ran out.
Well, I'm just looking at, okay, I know what a 10-acre pasture looks like, and if I cover 60% of it with water, that's a ginormous
So we
pond.
need to talk about the vision, because it's better to go offsite, all things equal. But now we're going to trigger TCEQ. Our seller won't do it. He's like, I'm not going to give you time to buy.
Just so we're clear, our comments on that were not, you have to do this. We're just saying, if you're impacting the pond, you have to follow the rules that are out there, and to make sure, and John puts the same way, we've had this conversation, so we're not saying, hey, you have to go and do this extra step that's not required, but if you're impacting, if there's a concern, if we're causing anything with the dam or anything on that lake, it just needs to be looked at.
What is
our study is a high-level study that we've concluded, and if they are okay with it, we go and design it, and then we trigger that TCEQ. These are very clear rules. We've talked to them about, if you do this, you're going to trigger this need for dam safety, which that's the long lead time. And so we may not know that until we get into design. So the last thing we want to do is get a drainage report, we go into design, we've got survey, more information. We realize the design concept didn't work. I've actually got to do this, and I come back to him and say, hey, I've got to take 6 or 7 acres out of your property. It's not a good conversation.
Philip calls after the meeting, he's like, Jack, I'm worried. He's like, if I own that 112 acres, I'm worried TCEQ's going to get involved, and now, my potential,
It's another person that
so he currently owns a site, we're buying it from him.
Right.
So are y'all doing everything you can to avoid going to Rampy Lake?
It's still an option.
I mean, because obviously you don't want to go there if you don't have to, because the dam structurally probably is not sound for attaining additional
There's
water.
a question there.
Yeah, so
Even a sound on that.
that's why I know why you don't want to trigger that. You don't want to trigger that if you don't have to. If you can go all text dot, it's perfect.
Could you just drain it?
Well, that's where we are, right? Is it says, hey, the seller's like, we're too concerned about that piece, the data piece, and to get TCEQ. So they said, hey, like, you got to figure out how to do it on site.
Because there's a natural break, right, on the track. The north part goes to Rampy, the rest of it goes to Textile, and then, you know.
Really, a lot of it's Buffalo Springs and comes down.
Does it?
But the original drainage study from, a couple decades ago, just everything gets a Stewart crew. So that's what we're trying to amend, update with current criteria. To Ryan's point, can we modify the dam or the outfall or the lake in general to not trigger that dam requirement? That's definitely a possibility, but we just don't have the information and survey to know that it's.
So is there anything making you have to go east?
Not having to take 0.67 acres.
Right. Yeah, the reason why.
I mean, it's, can you make that happen? And without us knowing, obviously it's in timeline to make this work, so let's just get to explore a few options. We submitted a drainage study. They're committing to spend more dollars with me to submit an alternate drainage study, and then we figure out which one's the option. This is worst case. Best case is the other one, as long as it doesn't trigger certain things that can take longer or cost.
Our goal is to get warm and fuzzies with the city, EDC, and say, hey, look, guys, high level, we want to make this happen, and we're going to close the site.
Yeah.
And we're going to close the speculative, we're going to be the owners. We feel like once we become the owners, conversations become easier. We're no longer having to have a third party involved. That's the goal.
Okay.
And our goal is to close April 15th.
This April 15th?
Correct.
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Not 2026.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all right.
You should be on the board, you could probably get some stuff done too.
That's exactly how you should run your business, to knock it out.
That's right. Don't play around.
Yeah.
I love your enthusiasm. Maybe it's.
Monday night, city council meets to do what?
So there's a workshop to review, just kind of one, history of the radio agreements in the city, just to kind of Casey's point, what do we have? Because that question's already been asked. What are the other deal structure? Is this in line with those other deals? And to go into the weeds of the MOU. So I think for this group tonight, it's, are y'all interested in participating? It's not a commitment, it is just for the 4% of sales tax that the MEDC keeps after you take out the crime control prevention district. Is that all?
Which is half our budget, by the way.
Right, 100%, 50%. But is that, is that on the table to consider? Now, obviously, it has to come back to y'all, there's public hearing requirements, et cetera. But is that to consider, or is it off the table, so when council is considering this at the workshop, which is open, anyone can come to, is, should it even be part of the consideration of the calculation or not, for the options?
Thank you.
Well, I guess we can all talk about it. We got 2 council members here tonight, and yeah, we can talk about that. We're going to have to probably put together a special, either a special meeting or maybe, do we have executive session tonight?
Yes, but you don't have that on the agenda.
It's not on our agenda.
EDC come to the workshop? Yes, and by all means, on Monday, I would love to see you guys. Monday?
Yes, I'm planning on sending
Yeah.
invitations for you to be able to.
Maybe we can come to the meeting on Monday and see if we can get some traction in the meantime.
I don't have confidence in the numbers, so I wouldn't have signed any agreement until those numbers are firmed up. And I do have a big concern in the city in general, just we don't have water and sewer, so what's the point of bringing in a big box store if we then have to turn development away in a year? Because we don't have money to pay for water or sewer. So those are the things I would really make sure, we need to make sure we continue to provide water and sewer to our existing citizens and don't try to pull in a bunch of stuff and make all these agreements if we can't even pay for our basic infrastructure. So those are my 2 concerns, basically. But,
So to that,
and the optics of waiving or paying for impact fees just looks kind of weird, that we're waiving impact fees, not waiving it. I guess, are we waiving, would we?
We're just showing all the costs. I mean,
It's just, we have a water, sewer.
$7 million, I don't know what all that went towards.
City of we're in the same boat as City of Magnolia and the City of Conroe with water, wastewater, and waiving impact fees.
Yeah, I get
That, it looks bad optically for a developer whenever,
Yeah.
so I'm really concerned about that, and I have some heartburn about that as well, so. But I want to, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of box stores, but these are nice amenities for the city and obviously great tax revenue for the city. So I do want to kind of have a partnership as long as it makes sense and the numbers.
Yeah, my
make
thought is
sense
we
too.
increase the budget so much that the portion that y'all give us, you can afford because we're paying. The dollars, the accreted dollars that are coming in outweigh what we're giving back.
But we have like a short, like over the long term, yeah, it makes great sense. In the short term, we've got some pressure, timing and funding. We've got a lot of growth coming in that the city's not able to keep up with from a fiscal standpoint. So it is kind of sensitive. But
That's the exact same thing I told Home Depot. It's affordability over the short term.
We could look at restructuring the whole deal and basically you front load it to you guys and we get paid later at a bigger number. And at the end of the day, it's just, you look at return on, there's a return on time standpoint, time out of your money. So it's like, hey, if we need to pay the city back quicker, and we get our percentage later, it's just be a bigger number.
Yeah.
After you guys, because it's a short-term problem, like we can, the math, we just redo the math, but,
and that's up to the city or,
Whichever deal makes the best sense, right?
yeah, so it's looking at those numbers and then looking at the agreement, it doesn't make sense. High level, yeah, I think we'll all be in agreement that we want to partner with y'all. It's just if it makes sense for the city and the special circumstances we're in right
we
now.
don't have a box. You're looking at one of the three owners, and we're privately held, and we don't have, there's no like board on us, so we want to get as creative as we can with you guys. As you can tell, we're invested emotionally on this. We want to see this through. This is a big deal for us and our company. I've done wait for a long time, and you testify to that.
So the other thing, and to Brian's point about the numbers, property tax is one thing, those things are estimatable, but when you don't have actual agreements with the other
Totally, and I get that. That's really hard number. I get the detention.
sales tax.
Yeah, so the Academy deal, we got that directly from what they're expecting. Texas Roadhouse, their average unit volume now is 8.5 million. And we can all agree that the governor's probably going to beat their AUV. We're hoping their Magnolia deal with us close to 12 million. Who knows? So we put a $10 million number on that. What we're going to focus on is getting sales tax driven concepts. So Raising Cane's is in the market. Their AUV in Houston is $5 million. It's Raising Cane's. P. Terry's, they're coming into Houston in a big way. Their AUV's in that 3 to 4. We peg them at 3. They're on the low end.
Jeff, where would that company we hired?
Retail Strategies.
Retail Strategies. To work with them to get the businesses that we talked about coming.
Well, we just had a meeting with them day before yesterday? Yesterday? Was it yesterday? Day before yesterday. Yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Monday's Tuesday.
I can do the flag better than I can remember. Well, anyway, they were not aware of this deal, which surprises me because it was actually, that graphic was sitting right behind my head the whole time, and I didn't even know about this deal.
Right.
So,
Come on really fast. It's just been.
yeah, obviously, and they want to get out really fast too, by April 15th. So I think it's exciting. We were preparing for ICSC, coming up in May, and really looking at target businesses that we wanted to approach. I mean, Raising Cane's is great. I mean, all the ones that you mentioned are first-class additions to the city, but
We sat down with them, and I know you guys had meetings with them about the businesses that you'd like to see them go after.
Right.
Sure.
The number one was a boutique hotel.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've been focused on. A boutique hotel, Academy's a great addition.
You know the best way to get a boutique hotel, and I'm being serious, is we pull off this development, we've got 110 acres at the lake, and that becomes more of a mixed-use project with, medical office buildings, hotels.
Yeah. We want people actually working in the city. Not what's happening is
What's lacking? There's no labor.
yeah, there's no labor force in the city, and that's why the boutique hotel makes sense, and especially from a hospitality standpoint. But also, like you said, putting some medical facilities in and other things like that. That
Creates labor.
yeah,
They're here for lunch crowds.
exactly. Yeah.
And that feeds everything else.
Yeah.
Because now people are sitting
Yeah.
there eating lunch.
I'm not a huge fan of the multi-development side.
We don't either, but it's because it's
It's just that we're kind of overbuilt in that area, I think, a little bit, but I don't know if that's, kind of a...
That sounds like their money guy, though, they're ready to do
That's
it.
our money guy.
Yeah, that's what that's their money guy.
Oh, that's your money guy, okay.
That's like the good with the bad, like the multi makes us feel good.
Yeah, gotcha, yeah, it's
We're
just,
taking the worst piece, it sits behind everything, like, you can't do retail back there, it's too deep.
yeah,
Can they get creative though with not the traditional 15-acre multifamily, 400 units, be done, and we're out. They're gonna have to be creative.
And they will,
who's they, by the way? Okay.
They're based in Houston.
So something that he was talking about earlier, that Jack was talking about, was a project that's at Pine Lake and 105.
Okay.
Something that Perry Sin did, and it's,
Fine,
so Perry sold a site to Pine. It's on the hill above the lake. It's a pretty project. I mean, it's a good looking project. So that's kind of
That's it.
Yeah, I think having something a little bit more aesthetic. Yeah.
It's gonna be the highest rent by far, so the people that are gonna be living there are gonna have to be able to afford it, it's gonna be a high-end crap.
Let me ask you a crazy question. So Philip's involved in all this, but what is his take on ransoms coming to town? Because that 100% impacts his restaurant.
Here, because here's what he said, they're either going right there a mile away.
Yeah.
Or they're going here.
Right.
So.
You talking about Roadhouse?
Yeah, Roadhouse 100% impacts.
About that, you ask, is like,
Exposure and everything, yeah.
I'm probably excited.
Right.
Yeah. Texas Roadhouse.
Right.
He looks around, he's like, what's that gonna do?
Exactly.
He's like, look, they're gonna be here, whether, they're a mile away or not.
They're coming one way or the other.
He says, too, they're different.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the plan is with ransoms long-term, they took over.
I don't think so. I think they're ready to tap out already anyway.
He wants out of the, he's moving.
Oh, yeah, he's going to Anderson. He's moving everything in. He sold his
Yeah.
home, he wants to sell the restaurant, he's selling every piece of real estate he's got.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he's going to Grimes County.
All right, so because we love you, we can spend a lot of time with you. We love it. It's exciting, but we got a few big other business to do. Okay, but thank you for presenting. I mean that, and we're excited about what you guys offer. These guys are very, very astute when it comes to the engineering side of things. I think it's important that we get some more perspective, okay? And we'll kind of talk amongst ourselves and see if we can figure out what we would need to make it feel comfortable. Okay?
You wouldn't get hurt by buying that piece of property.
I appreciate you saying that. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, no matter what, you're not going to get hurt by it.
No, you're not.
You guys
Depends on the price, right?
It's hard to see out of everything.
Yeah.
That's why being a private company, we can make risk decisions. But if I feel like there's alignment that, we're a team here, and look, it's got to work, Casey. I agree with you. It's a 16-year payback. It's not a 16-year, we'll prove that. We want to shrink the detention. We don't want the detention costs.
Well, we know there's more chicken on the bone. We just got to figure out what it is, okay? So,
The service sit-down restaurants, the city needs it. Look what the big tortillas do.
yeah. Well, look at Tortilla's doing amazing. They're third or fourth last month, highest tax revenue. So, it's a very,
We're
very...
doing these program green space. We're doing one in Magnolia, we're doing one in spring. We're putting in common area green space restaurants.
Oh, okay.
We could pull something off. I don't want to sit here and say something's not happening, but there's going to be room next to Cabin where we could do a green space and sitting back off the highway, we pay for that.
Right.
It's not a patio green across the line, it's going to be on the freeway.
What about an One question, what about an entertainment value, like a chicken and pickle or some kind of a entertainment value? Is that something you guys have relationships with these?
All those guys, they work really well when markets are small, they weighted.
Right.
This is not a small market.
Right.
My background's in retail brokerage, I represented national retailers for 15.
Okay, so yeah.
We know all those guys.
So assuming that you guys were to come in, you could link up with our consultants with retail strategies and maybe help find the right mixed use that would complement Academy and whoever there. Okay.
So just to end, can you present both options still with tighter numbers when we get on Monday?
Yeah.
And so we can look at which one's the best deal? Because I totally understand the loss of revenue when you lose 6 acres. I do think 6 acres is way too much for a pond, but even a loss of 4 acres is still a large deal. So,
You get,
I mean, it's a mini Lake Conroe, really. when you look at it.
It's ridiculous. I mean, you're selling it by the square inch.
Yeah.
Residential's not bad. Dig a big pond in the back and be happy.
Yeah, it didn't make sense, but I think it sounds like we've got some wiggle room and we can work on that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right, so let's go to item number 4, consideration possible action on the regular meeting minutes, February 18th, 2025. Does anybody have any comments, questions, remarks, or grievances, anything? Nothing? Okay, can we have a motion to approve those?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of February the 18th, 2025.
Second. So it's a motion and seconded that we approve the regular meeting minutes of February 18th, 2025. This motion is amendable, debatable, requires a majority vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, ayes carried. Consideration of possible action on funding a beer garden and wine walk event to be held May 2nd through the 4th. And I guess, Stephanie, that's you? You go, girl. Tell us all about it.
So I met with Allison at Grace Point Homes, and she would like to collaborate. I know that we've spoken before about a wine festival. I don't know that we could pull off a full-fledged wine festival with a short notice like this, but something like this, in addition to the antique festival on the opposite side of the road, is definitely doable. So there is no budget for it, so we would have to go through the process of making that possible.
Marion, we don't have any kind of an open, don't we have a catch-all event type budget thing happening?
so time out.
Not for this amount.
Before we get that.
What's that?
The
Not
way
for
we
this
get our
amount.
budget is just one line item, I thought, for events. So we do have budgets.
So there is, so that's part of the reason why we budget your event expenses as event expenses and not individual events. And there is a surplus in that for this exact type of event. And this is that you would want.
That's what I was thinking, so why do we need to go to council for that?
You don't.
That's what I thought, okay.
I'm just learning, and I see it, so I said, well, we just go ahead and put it on there, and that's, I mean, this literally just was talked about just a couple of days ago. And with the council meeting coming up, you know, there's nothing written in stone, the process to do everything, so.
Okay, so we don't need to go to council.
So it's going to be approved right here.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
Who is carrying the license for it?
So I will do a permit for it. It's in addition to the antique festival.
And the antique festival selling beer and wine?
They are not.
Yeah, we need it.
Who is carrying that license?
Pardon?
Who is carrying the license for
The TBC license to be able to...
Well, let's just say Grace Point Homes will be hosting, let's say, the beer garden, the whiskey bar, the cigar bar, whatever it will be. Whoever is providing alcoholic beverages will have to have a off-premise TABC license to cover them. Now, if you go down the road a little bit to H Wines, they already have their TABC permit. So if we start at Grace Point Homes and we go on down to H Wines and then go on down to Rendy's.
Does Grace Point Homes have an off-premise license, do you know?
No, they do not, but they have a great venue and a very inviting backyard.
So we had a meeting about 2 months ago with Sarah Countryman, and it was a collaborative meeting about, because Tom Cox, who's the owner of Grace Point, he wants to really start rejuvenating festivals downtown, and he's a big proponent of it, and he's offering the White House, what we call the White House, which is on
Right.
Carolina, as a venue to kind of kick this stuff off with the idea that it will grow bigger and get back to doing the Wine Fest, which was a huge event.
Yes.
And, something that we should be capitalizing on. But he's, in the interim, offering to provide his facilities to do that, to get it kicked off in the short term, with the idea that it would grow. And so,
We're talking May, right?
Yes, May 7th.
So the only permit that I see is has to run through council is gonna be the special use permit for them to have that, because that property is not, it's not in our grid. And Ms. Tilly, our chart for what, if it's not listed in the chart, then it has to have a special use permit.
let's add it in the chart.
Well, it's not been added, but they need to get the special use permit.
I think it's property use agreement, but I'm not sure.
From a private standpoint, can he not do it on his own?
Yeah, he could do it on his own.
He could fund the whole thing on his own.
So you're gonna ask a guy that is providing the facilities to fund the whole thing?
Yeah. No, we're not.
Well, if he has a permit, it's going to take him too long.
Is it that important?
So, it's an ordinance on the book.
All right, well, then we won't do it this year again. We'll move it to.
I think we,
You can do it,
He's not gonna.
because you have people involved in it that know how to do things.
Right. And so let's let the guys that know how to do these things get the city out of the way.
Well,
No. You're not going to do that in my city.
What am I missing?
No.
So you,
He is not going to do that in my city.
Sure, we'll
Make sure it's documented.
Right, okay. No, ordinances stay involved. I'm not saying.
You have pissed me off now.
Okay. Anyway, so city stays involved, the ordinances stay involved, but there's a way, incentivize the people that want to help the city grow and the city to have festivals, incentivize those people is all I'm saying.
don't we already have security for that event? To the tune of about $8,000?
For the Energy Festival, the one for 3 days, and this event will be on the opposite side of 149.
Yeah, I understand.
So we will need additional security at Caroline and 149, and then College, I think it's College.
Is that correct, Chief?
Yeah, I am, when they bought this, we had a lieutenant put together another plan, so we'll have to take a look at it and see where that's at.
So we don't have a budget for this?
yes, we do. So the way we budgeted our events,
No, I know, I'm sorry, I asked the wrong question. You don't know how much it's gonna cost?
Yeah, go ahead, Ruby.
Director Carl, you said that we had a cushion in that line item. Is there $6,000 cushion?
Yes.
Okay. Because that's what this would mean.
Well, I'm just asking, what are they asking for? Because if you're talking about that number, talk about whatever you're talking about.
I don't think we should pay for musicians, okay? I don't think we should pay for tables, chairs, and that kind of thing. I'd give them tables, chairs, whatever they want. I don't care about that, but I think security, maybe restroom facilities are more citywide, which is pretty much the bulk of the budget anyway, but they need to have some skin in the game as well. Plus, they're making money off of the alcohol sales, yeah.
Not necessarily, so if they
Not
bring someone in, like Bar and Wines,
They're not serving
it
it.
will release them of that, but they would outsource that to probably Bar and Wines.
Right.
or-
Okay, because they don't have a permit for it, is what I'm saying, yeah.
Here's what I would ultimately like to do, is collaborate with as many local businesses as I can to bring more the wow factor, so to speak. There's several breweries not too far from us. Get them involved.
Okay.
Get the wineries.
Do we have time to market this and to get the word out? I mean, you're talking May.
Well, so the Antique Festival has its own audience. It may be a little less this year because it's been gone for 2 years.
Yeah.
But,
It's still a lot of people though, right? I mean, you're talking, it's one of the busiest weekends of the year for
Well,
us.
one time it was pretty big. I mean,
I think it has the potential to.
She sold out every booth. I mean,
Can I
it's
tell
gonna
you
be.
what the estimated numbers are? They know because it's going to be my first year to see it. So we pulled off 6 events when I got here in 8 weeks. So I would imagine we could pull this one off.
Why don't we just, can I make a suggestion? Maybe we just offer up to a certain amount to offset up to a certain amount, like $5,000 or something like that. So
This is just a rough.
just see if we can get some traction for it. Because, I mean, if Grace Point's willing to put it up, they got a beautiful facility over there, a beautiful stage. I mean, I love the idea of a beer garden, cigar bar, wine tasting, all this kind of stuff. It's definitely going to bring a different crowd other than, you know.
Hiring crowd.
Yeah, hiring crowd, yeah.
What your downtown people want.
Right.
Meet with them often.
And that's the closest thing to a green space that we have downtown.
The whole idea is just to start getting to that point. Yeah, to kick something off, just to start.
I think this is.
Because we've been, I mean, you hear from people about Wine Fest constantly, about why did it leave?
Everybody says that they want the wine fest back.
Well, we can make a living on the Wine Fest too. This is a chance to give us a taste of what the Wine Fest might feel like.
Yes, I agree.
But we'll have to get on the marketing machine like really quick to let the word get out to your community impact and some of the other places.
So, Jim, I have a view on this though.
I do.
Restrooms and security up to 4,000.
What's that now?
Your suggestion to do the restrooms and security up to 4,000,
Yes.
right?
Right.
I'm in agreement with that. The only thing that I see that this project or this whole event would need is a special use permit and somebody with a up-to-date TABC off-use permit. Those are the only two things that you need to make this happen.
Well, I have one, but I don't know if they want to use somebody else outside, like Bar and Vine or somebody else that might want to have. I have an off-site cartage permit as well, so
You have a very nice venue as well.
I know, but I don't work as hard as I used to.
Preliminary, but I would like to ask you that I want you to try not to limit it. Just put like $5,000 on there because there's other things that, there's no marketing for this. Like I have no
Right.
budget for marketing or advertising.
I know, we've got a lot of things that we need to fix on that. So are you saying that if you ask for 5,000, that would probably get, will they push forward? If they make it consideration?
I don't know, but I would imagine.
Yeah.
So how much of that 5,000 would be security?
Well, I think 2,000. Up to $2,000 for security. That's pretty much an easy number to figure out, right, Chief? I mean, y'all know
Oh,
that.
yeah, definitely. We already met with Joe on that. That's a hard number. The restrooms, that's a hard number. These are not portalets. These are nice air conditioned.
It's the trailer that comes
Restrooms
in.
that you would want to go to if you were at a whiskey bar, cigar bar. I mean, we're trying to add value to these events, and these are just some ways
Crawfish Festival.
that we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have some budget to spend. We definitely need to start doing something. So this would be, I think, a good tag, a good dovetail promotion it's a cool kitschy thing to do. And if the weather cooperates, it'll be well attended.
That's the big thing, is the
Yeah.
weather. But I know that you didn't think it was a good idea maybe to hire bands, but sometimes these bands have their own audience.
Well, you hire bands because they have an audience.
Absolutely.
That's true, and I'm not saying that we don't hire band, but maybe Grace Point puts that money together, you know, and they can spend $1,000 on that. But the other thing too is, I mean, if you go to Nashville, the bands work for free and they get tips, so. Nashville. We can start that, that'd be fun.
Grace Point is willing to put in, put some skin.
Sure, they're gonna get some skin in the
I'm
game.
not saying that they're not.
Yeah.
I just wanted to present you guys with a good figure.
So, we need a motion.
To Casey's point, is, I believe
With receipts.
they generally get third-party vendors in there, correct? I mean, for beer and
Yeah,
wine.
we will for this. Like I said, Alice and I just met on this last week. There's a possibility, because I know, so the Masons want to collaborate with me on some events and do a grilling and sell like, hot dogs or, sausage on a stick or something like that. So, there's a lot of different avenues we can look at.
Because like, for instance, Crawfish Guy is next door. I mean, if they turn and serve drinks off the front porch, you know,
So they can
to
only
that.
do, so I think that's beer and wine, right?
Right, it's just beer and wine, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. There's all kinds
I
of.
mean, it's gonna enhance all that, they have their own TABC.
We just have to really, I mean, this is very fun.
With Crawfish Skies is if you leave there, it has to be taped and sealed.
Right.
So
a piece of scotch
walk
tape.
down the street, because it doesn't work out so well. Okay.
So when, like when we had the wine tasting, or what is it, the walking?
Right, well, we close it off.
Okay.
We can't close off 149.
Yeah, right,
Do
gotcha.
you want to make a motion, Wade, for
That's already
5,000?
done.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for 5,000.
I'll second his motion.
Okay.
Legacy.
I would also like to mention that
We'll do
if
business.
this goes over really well, we could do the same thing at the quote walk.
Can I make a,
Possibly. I
okay.
need to get back to that, but
Yeah.
it might be a good idea.
Okay, we got a motion, but the motion is not really kind of ready. The motion needs to be something along the lines of,
Let Casey make it.
okay, but we'll reimburse
I make a motion to reimburse,
up
is
to,
it Grace Points, because we have to have an individual to motion to.
to cancel though?
who are we?
He's asking for the grant.
No,
Not a grant.
That's it.
oh, okay, so this is the city paying for this, right?
It would be a co-sponsor, that's what I would call a co-sponsorship.
Well, we know those are hard numbers on,
the line item?
I don't think
There is no line.
Or the- on the budget, yeah, the grant.
Because it's not, it's a non-budgeted item. So
But we're taking it out of the budget.
that's not correct.
It's a non-budgeted event. So at the beginning of the year, you may recall, Dave had brought forward a list of events that the previous events person had put together.
Right.
Including your snow party and the water day and all of those kind of things, along with the estimate of what it was expected that the MEDC would spend for those events. And as a result, there is a portion, I will have to run back to my office and see what that amount is, but I'm thinking it's somewhere in the vicinity of like $10,000 for additional events that were not a part of that initial list. That gives you the ability to add something of this nature.
if we want.
If that's the case, it becomes a city event that is funded under the events line.
Let's just leave it
And
there.
it becomes an EDC event. I think what Casey is referring to is what you have done in the past with some events, and we're just going to throw this out there, mud bugs, where you all have given the event organizer support for that. That comes out of that event line as well. But in that case, you literally are pledging to pay for the security for that event. So that's what he's going back to. So there has to be a decision amongst y'all as far as how you wish to proceed. Is this going to be an MEDC event that you are going to add and fund any component of that event? Or is somebody else putting on the event and we are pledging to support them by way of security and restroom?
Thank you for explaining that.
In any event, it is going to come out of that event's budget. So
Okay.
there is a clear distinction on whether or not it is an MEDC event that is funded or an event that the MEDC supports.
It's no different than the Charlie Diggs scenario.
Exactly.
So that's a support.
But that is different based on that the agreement with Diggs was to pay for the security.
Right.
And that agreement went a little bit further that, there was additional proceeds, they
Reimburse it up to, yeah.
But now, that was not a city function, we were just providing.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
And the way that I understand what y'all have done in the past is those type of events that you pledge to support, you do it for a period of 3 years. And then at that point, you're like, we got you off the ground, we got you started, and if you want to continue it, then go right ahead.
That is correct.
But that's 3 years of support that y'all get.
So are we doing this for Grace Point? Are we doing this for the
My
city?
suggestion, I suggest that I do a special event permit. Each place fills out their own property use agreement. Everything will fall under the city's permit, and this would be a partnership with Grace Point Homes and
whoever else jumps in the fray. Okay.
I mean, if H Lines wants to get in and
So
they want to bring in.
going back, so this is an MEDC event.
Okay,
That is my suggestion.
Okay, well, let's move forward with
yeah,
that.
we can do that.
Well, how much is it gonna be?
We're gonna allocate a motion for 5. We're gonna allocate whatever it takes to,
$6,000.
up to 6,000.
Approving 5,000, and it could be less once,
With receipts.
yes.
Yeah, okay,
So all we have to do is vote on approval of the event for $5,000.
exactly. Okay, so that was your motion? We gotta move on to some other items.
I'll make the motion to approve the Beer and Wine Garden event for May 2nd. Is that right? The weekend of May 2nd?
So May 2nd through the 4th.
May 2nd through the 4th.
In the amount?
In the MEDC to finance that or whatever, finance it for up to $5,000.
And it's been seconded by? I'll do it. Okay, it's been seconded by Dan. All right, so it's been motioned and seconded that the MEDC fund the beer, let me go back and find out what it's called here. Okay, the beer and wine walk, beer garden and wine walk from May 2nd to the 4th, 2025, for up to $5,000. It's amendable, debatable, requires a majority vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yeses and 1 no.
Motion carries.
Motion carries. Let's move on. Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next item on the agenda. This is, we're back to the logo again. Oh, God. All right, let's see here. So, okay, so we kicked it back, we approved it, we kicked it over to the city council, right, Steph?
Caption, please. Can you please read the agenda item?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I got a little verklempt by seeing it there again. Okay, so the agenda item is consideration of possible action on the proposed marketing logo. The background, so on February 18th, we had an agenda item, consideration, discussion of proposed city marketing logo and official seal. The motion,
Do not talk, it's not official seal. No.
well, I'm just saying, I'm reading what the words say here.
I'm just letting you know, it's not official seal.
This is not an official seal?
No, it's not. That is a logo.
Marketing seal.
Oh, it's, okay.
That's just a logo. It's not the seal.
What is a seal?
It's a picture that says, actually,
Is that it?
Do we have a picture of the seal?
yeah, she has a picture of it. It's the corporate seal. That's the official seal. This is just a logo from back in the day.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Right here.
Lord have mercy.
Wait, I'll do.
You can only do that for a few months, okay? You can't go forever.
So that is actually the
Okay.
seal that would be correct?
Okay,
That's the official seal.
okay, that's more of an incorporated seal type.
Yes.
Right.
That you get from the state.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so I stand corrected.
Okay.
It's a seal, that's a seal, this is not a seal.
That's just a logo.
It has seal similarities.
So apparently that is, from what I understand, that is the only official approved logo for the city.
Okay, so, all right, I don't know where we're at then. All right, what are we doing?
So here,
I'll give you an update of what happened at council.
Okay.
None of them like it.
None of them liked it, but the crazy thing is everybody that is on council, including, well, maybe not you.
I brought it up and
You actually proposed it.
I proposed it, but no, they wouldn't, nobody, I couldn't get a second, so it died.
I understand that. I know what happened, but everybody on this board has seen the logo. Wayne Vance, Chief Solomon, Ruby, Sarah, Stephanie, went through multiple iterations of it. And everybody said, yeah, that's great, let's move forward. And then it gets to council and dies.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it's just something, if you're wanting to spearhead it, maybe we just need to coordinate with Sarah and Cheryl, see what they would want.
Did already. Why would you do that? I know it's crazy. But see, it's like when it comes to infrastructure and engineering, I just acquiesce, man. I don't even need to talk about it because I don't know anything about that. But when it comes to marketing,
Absolutely.
I got that. Okay. This this is not going to sell tickets, okay? So I know it was just a colorful branding to.
Other years?
What's that?
Now we've got big box stores coming in.
Okay, we're talking over each other, so let's get, if we want to discuss this, the question is, do we want to move forward with any kind of a marketing logo? That's question number one.
So they, council was not against a marketing logo, they just didn't like that one. We liked it.
Well, what difference-
They don't tell us why they don't like it.
well, what difference does it make if they like it or don't like it? Why is that important?
The city has to,
They have to approve it.
is a
Oh,
mile.
well, then we're messed up then, aren't we? We can't seem to get anywhere.
So I'm just suggesting, Jeff, that it's just gonna have to be an individual effort. We're not gonna be able to go back and forth between us. I think if you really want to push it, someone's gonna have to meet and just ask them.
The question is, are we starting all over from scratch, or what do they not like about it?
I don't know, but I don't think we're gonna be able to do it from meeting to
The
meeting.
star on the middle of the state where it looked like we were, where basically it's like the capital, that just doesn't fit right.
But that's like not, I think there's some confusion there, because this is the only thing we approved. This thing.
I know.
That's the only thing we approved, and I listened to the council meeting, and there seemed to be some confusion about what.
Yeah, there were 7 different logos in the packet.
Yeah. There's
That-
I did that because everything was talked about and discussed in MEDC, but when it got to council, I realized that council had, I wanted to give them the book that showed them what we have
I
now,
think it's too much
the
information.
process, I agree, and then what they came up with, so.
We have 3 council members here present right now.
Too much of
What confused everybody, and what can we do to unconfuse them?
We should send a letter back and just have them.
Yeah, because none of that,
There was way too many.
okay, I didn't know all that into the packet, but it should have just been this one logo, that's it. It's the only one.
Yeah, we just need to send it back to the city council with the one logo that we approved and give them a chance to comment on it.
Okay.
And if they don't, then it dies.
Should we change something to make them feel better?
Take the star.
You didn't get feedback. Wait a second, do what?
Take the star off of the state.
Take the,
Because it looks like it's located in Austin.
Yes.
would you rather move the star closer to Houston?
I don't want the star there at all.
Just get rid of the star.
That's the flag.
Okay,
If
so,
you remove the city up,
and just make it Montgomery, Texas.
Yes.
it's not a logo that you're gonna see on letterhead or something like that. This is a logo that I would like to have what we discussed, I think in January, is a backdrop at the events that looks very nice, similar to the Texas flag, the birthplace of the Texas
Okay,
flag.
we have,
For pictures and stuff like
okay,
that.
we have all the original art. I've sent all the original art, so we've got Illustrator, every kind of way you can imagine this art, it's already been done. So we can scale it and blah, blah, blah. We can remove the star. We'll change, instead of saying City of Montgomery, we have the fonts, it'll just say Montgomery, comma, Texas. Is that okay? Montgomery, Texas, no comma? What's good? You can't say? Talking grammatically speaking. Should it have a comma or no comma? It would be a comma, right?
Texas or no.
Comma or no comma?
I think we need to meet, I think we maybe need to have a committee of EDC and city to come up with what's going on, because I like the logo, people don't like the logo, no one's communicating, so we just need to get together.
Yeah, nobody communicated.
People who have a strong opinion need to get together and figure out the
Well,
difference.
that's a logo that would go on coffee cups, it'd be what you'd like.
It's a marketing logo, it's all it is. I think if you take the star out and put Montgomery, Texas, resubmit it, let's do that. And no, we resubmit it?
Well, you're gonna have to contact the.
No, I'll do it. I can change the art, that's no big deal.
You can do that?
Yeah, we have all the original art. I could have done the logo, but I didn't want to seem like I was doing something. Anyway,
I think they want to see some options, Jeff. Honestly, I think that they want to
Okay.
see, instead of you doing this and go here, that approve or deny.
All right, we'll do-
They want to see a couple of different.
I'll do 3 different iterations of this kind of looking
You
logo.
just need to get it in front of, email them individually, say, Cheryl, do you like this? Or Sarah, do you like this? And then get feedback, and if you get.
Cheryl, were you involved ever? No? Sarah was. I know everybody else is.
I was only involved by last city council.
Sarah was the first name. So you need to just email. Question, can I do that? I don't have to have a quorum to do that? I can just send stuff out?
To individuals.
Individually.
And you send it to her.
I don't recommend it. It's like a daisy chain, no matter what.
You probably should, that's a walking wall. It is. So if
Okay, we have a workshop to Ruby.
and say, yes, I like it, that's basically a like consensus of vote, right? We can't do that.
Yeah, have a 30-minute workshop on Wednesday or something.
Okay, all right, we'll schedule a workshop, so we'll table this and schedule a workshop, is that okay?
Sounds good to me.
Lord have mercy, God help me.
You got all the time in the world.
Yeah, I do, actually. All right, so should we go ahead, is it okay, can we just go ahead and table this, is that everybody in agreement? And I'll put together a small workshop with whoever's got grievances about the logo, give them some different options, and then we'll get moving along.
So if we get a motion to table it?
Yes, who wants to motion?
I'll make a motion, we table it.
We have two motions to table it, any seconds on the second?
I just need one, give me one name and motion.
Casey made a motion to table it, and Dan made a motion to second it.
Second,
To really reflect for your downtown businesses, not so much to get, more for the city, so to speak, and no disrespect to that, but this is for marketing. When you go somewhere, like New Braunfels, Texas, it doesn't say the city of Green or something like that.
Right.
So that
Pure marketing.
it's pure.
That's the only reason we want to do it, we got to get some things out, yeah. Everything's being held up because we don't have the logo.
That's your logo, and you got the seal otherwise.
That's yeah, I mean, and there's nothing colorful.
And that's just an old logo from way back then.
All right, so here's the good news, we're going to get to the bottom of this
Motion, Jeff.
while I'm still alive, I promise.
Jeff, we need to finish the motion.
Oh, okay, so it's been motioned and seconded that we table the logo discussion. All those in favor, say aye. All those opposed? Wow, okay, so we're going to keep tabling it.
Some of them says December or January.
Yeah, right. God help me. All right, so quick question, if you don't mind, can you put together a brief meeting? I'll send 3 logos by the end of the week, and I'll let you figure out when's a good day for everybody to come together that wants to. And if you don't show up, Cheryl, you can't vote, okay?
Good workshop. Everybody should submit to you what they like. I don't know,
I really don't know what the rules are anymore, to be honest with you. It's just, I want to follow them, but I need to know what we need to do.
It's best to do it through.
Tabling the next to do what? It's best to do it through a workshop. Just do it through a workshop, okay. Casey made a great suggestion, we'll set up a workshop. Okay, we're already past that, we're done with that.
Tabling the next one.
What's the next one? No, we definitely don't need to table the next one, okay. All right, so the consideration of possible action item on a proposal for professional marketing services. Stephanie, you're still here, and you should probably talk about this, but I know we've been through all this. You want to explain what we've done up to now?
Yeah, so I can do that. So based on the previous event person and looking at the budget, it looks like things were budgeted just the bare necessities for events. When I was hired, I was told that there was really a need to really increase the value of our events, try to draw more people in, engage with other businesses downtown, and really get the word out. And I can tell you from my experience, living here all of my life, for 30 years, I never knew there was a business district downtown until I started working here. And I live in Magnolia. So that is the case for a lot of other people. There are a lot of people that know, people that might work at either the schools, commuters, they may know, but a lot of people don't know. So how do we spread, how do we share our story? Traditionally, the way that you market your events is through Facebook marketing. And it's the 2 to 3 posts with images, this kind of, So looking at over time, there's really not a lot of engagement going on. And there needs to be, I thought maybe a social media campaign or something like that, like professional marketing services. I do events, I know events very well, and I do marketing, I know logos, but So I think to really up the standard of the events and really focus on the downtown business and the economic development and what you have coming to the city, I think if you go with a professional marketing and advertising company, they can do everything. I still would send them all the information. They would do some reels. They could come out and video our signature events, take new images of our downtown, which really needs to be updated as well, and really increase that. And with that, I could sell sponsorships to the signature events. Right now, there's no return on investment for someone to come in and give me $10,000, you know, for the Christmas event.
Because we don't have anybody marketing these events substantially.
No. I mean, Nicole does with Public Works, and I send her the information about the events, but this is like a full-time position. And from where I come from, you have an events person, and I do some of the marketing too, but they have a communications and marketing
Department who does nothing but that, yeah.
And I can do it. I know a little bit about it, but I'm not up to date on it, and it is very time-consuming.
So well, just to add on to what Stephanie's,
Engagement. So right now, I've got 3 proposals.
we've talked to all these companies and we've interviewed them, and but because of the number, the amount that it's going to cost to get a marketing firm involved, we have to send it out for RFP, and council is the one that has to make that choice. I believe that. So is the motion here today just to allow us?
No, it's an action item to approve to proceed with going to city council to go out with a request for proposal.
I think
Yes.
it's a good idea. Last time we proposed this, I think Becky shot it down.
That's because she was getting paid to do it.
So I'm okay. We needed to have a professional marketing firm support us, so I'm for submitting an RFP.
What's the proposed cost that you come up with?
It varies. It depends on which group you go with and what type of media that they're offering. But, I mean,
Is this a standard procurement
it's
process?
about 45 grand.
You do
a year.
You would select, just like with engineering, when we select the firm and then we hash out the scope of what we want them to do.
And
they give us the
again, it depends on the scope.
For this year, then when we do our budget in July, we can put it on the budget for the following year.
Right.
To get the ball rolling on this now, I think this is the process that we
We don't believe we're going to be able to pull it off before October anyway.
Right.
So we're just getting the ball rolling, so council and you guys and we all approve pushing forward so that our fiscal budget for next year has it in there that we have a professional marketing services
The
company.
first thing is just to submit an RFP.
Right.
So we just do that.
That is my recommendation, that we go through the process of beginning the RFP, because then it's going to have to go to council for 2 readings with the resolution. It's going to have
For the RFP, you guys?
Anything where we do sealed bids and you're going over $10,000.
But we won't, for an RFP, we're not getting.
No, so if you're going to go through the RFP process, then you're going to come back and be like, okay, well, we want to proceed.
Later
That's
on.
the next step, yes.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a
Yeah, yeah.
process. I don't see it.
We have to do a budget
Before
change.
the next budget, which goes into effect 10/1. And budget process begins here in the next month or 2.
So this is kind of filming the runway for an opportunity to have.
I'm for submitting.
Yeah, once you build it into the budget, though, then council just has to approve the budget.
Yeah, right. So,
Right, yeah, and we would also do some business highlights of downtown businesses. We'll go out and feature them on our Facebook page. I mean, that's how everybody's really marketing their business nowadays. And I know that the businesses would really love that. As a matter of fact, we have a workshop coming up of collaborating and teaching them how to share.
and they're going to do a workshop showing businesses how to do Reels and TikTok and stuff like that. But the other thing is, I mean, marketing's everything. I mean, if people don't know you're there, they don't know you're there. And so we're going to try and get a professional services company to really highlight and spotlight certain businesses downtown that are having remarkable success, and see if we can draw more people into the area. And there's a lot of good things happening, so.
Yeah, and not only that, it would be SEO, local SEO. So if you ever put in Montgomery in your phone and it comes up Montgomery, Alabama,
Yeah,
that's because they have SEO local. So they send dollars to get that up there. So we will become Montgomery, Texas
Right.
automatically.
especially if
Just
you're...
search engine, I mean, it's, I don't know.
All right, so can we get a motion to,
Do we have, I'm so confused, do we have to go to city council for the RFP?
No.
Or we do the RFP and then we, later, whenever we're doing contract negotiation, we go to the council then? Or unless we do the budget amendment?
You solicit proposals first, and then once a contractor is selected, then, because the expenditure is over $10,000, then it goes to council.
Okay, so we're not
Has
asked,
to go to council.
I was just reading this on here, it said to go to council. We're just approving staff to submit an RFP.
Yes.
For marketing
Solicit proposals. And you don't have to do competitive bidding like we do with the engineering related items, because there's an exception under state law for advertising.
So okay, so we do,
We can bid it like a normal bid that way.
but we've already got 3 bids.
we do have 3 bids.
So then we don't need to go out for RFPs.
No, so if we already have a contractor selected, I don't know if the
Well,
contractor
according to
knows.
our, yeah, remember we talked about this, according to our policy, anything over $25,000 for a non-budgeted purchase in excess of $10,000 has to go to council. It's on page 28 of your packet.
So I was reading that, but that back to the other point is that we don't have to do the sealed bid part. We need council's approval to spend this money. But basically, if we want to pick one tonight, one of these, we can say, hey, this is what we want, present that to council and say, we just want you to approve the budget to hire these folks.
Okay, well, that's better. We don't have to wait then.
So we don't have to go out for RFPs, we just pick the ones that y'all selected, but I haven't looked at it close enough
So
because,
purchasing, so help me out here, Mary Ann. There's a $50,000 threshold. In exclusion of the $10,000 non-budgeted of the $25,000 internal policy that we have, there is a $50,000 threshold, and one of these, 2 of these will hit that $50,000 or more, and we're looking at trying to do a budget of $75,000 because there's going to be additional services we may want to pick up from them. So the overall year budget is going to be more than $50,000. We have to go for sealed proposal because of the $50,000 threshold.
As Haley is saying, is this an exclusion?
It is an exclusion, so we wouldn't need it. It's an
Okay,
exclusion.
so
because it's not like
I
engineering,
don't
it's
know
just
where that
marketing.
marketing services are an exclusion. I know engineering is.
So if it's an
I know that-
exclusion, then we don't.
I don't. Advertising, it's just the same. All we have to do is ask for your money.
So the 50,000 piece will be excluded.
Yes, you don't have to competitively bid this contract.
So then all we have to do is go to council for approval.
That's
All right, so can we go ahead and we know which one we want, so can we go ahead and let them know?
We don't know.
Oh, we
I haven't
haven't?
even looked at it because I thought we were just asking for RFPs. So,
Oh, God, Lord have mercy.
Which one do you
You want me to tell you which one? We want number 1. That's
I
good.
voted yesterday, I haven't looked at it.
You don't have to vote. I mean, Zion Digital is by far.
So did they present packets to you guys?
Yeah.
So those should have been,
Well-
it's here, but not the full packet.
Well, haven't we sent those packets out before?
So they should be in this packet.
So it was going to just be a discussion and possible action on the proposal. So on Friday, we were having a lot of issues with unit meetings. All the attachments were uploaded, but for some reason...
They didn't get into the packet?
She couldn't get in it, and it just kind of threw everything.
Yeah, because they've submitted their full
She was
proposal.
under
That's what we should have.
The sergeant management program malfunctioned on Friday, and the company themselves eventually, after about 5 hours, rebooted their servers and got us up and going, and we're still having issues with it as of today while I'm trying to process another agenda.
Okay, so do we, I know you got them, but it's not,
This is in your packet. What is it?
But it's very small, there's not much in there. It's 1 page for Zion, 1 page for the next one, and 1 page for the next.
I think she just capsulized what their products were, and so you'd have to go to their websites to see what they're.
This is being Googled, and I just...
I don't have it. I'll go over this.
See, but we're all still did the process of
No one is really different.
social media companies.
Marketing, yes. And then-
I'm familiar with both of all these companies, really. I know because we've interviewed them all, but the point is that these guys haven't. But I don't really know how much information you guys want to be able to make a decision.
However we all want. Let the rest of it.
I'm not gonna, I didn't look at it because I thought we were passing these over and was gonna do it for.
Yeah, I was confused too. I mean, pretty much all
Well,
of
one
it.
thing that sets Zion apart from the other one is they can do like app tracking, so they will have, do you remember that? They
Yeah.
were telling us, like real time, like when we have an event, we can send the messages out like,
Yeah.
for the parade, you know. like-
They're going to have mobility tracking. They'll know how many people came into the city. They're going to send up drones and verify counts. I think you talked about this. Yeah.
I don't know, but that was something that would have to be discussed with the police department before, because there's certain things you can and.
Maybe it was the police department who did
I
drones.
think you're referring to.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Line Fest.
That, yeah, and even, yes.
Never mind. Sorry.
So,
Yeah.
I don't mean to interject, but my recommendation is wait until the next council meeting, and that's when we make the expenditure, and then it goes to council, the following meeting.
So you're saying, I mean, I'm not quite sure what we're doing here. I'm very confused, to be honest with
Let me
you.
explain. So what we would do is put an agenda item on council for a $75,000 budget adjustment for media.
Okay.
And then it would come back, if it gets approved, then we would have to.
Then we could let everybody see it, read into it.
And for this year, we just poured
We
out.
don't need that much, you know, what, maybe about 30?
Yeah, we don't need that much for this year.
Right, I mean, I have.
So, then what you're talking, right, yeah, just get the budget amended so that way we can pick who we want.
Well, that, and then anytime the MEDC spends over $10,000, you have to follow a statutory process. You have to publish it in the newspaper, and then you have to have a public hearing at the MEDC, then it goes to council. So there's a process because we're spending over $10,000 of MEDC funds.
Okay.
And that's the process. If it was under 10,000, we're fine.
Right.
But we need council approval because it's over 10,000, and the state law says you have to be A, B, and C in
Okay.
order to spend the money.
Okay, so
what's A?
So what we need to do then is call for it. Yeah.
But it's better if we just table this until next month, that way we can go ahead and select or have the contract, and then go ahead and approve the expenditure with the resolution, and then it'll go to council.
Okay.
And have the public hearing as well. Let's see, that could happen at the next meeting, but we would need to call a public hearing tonight for that.
Is it a budgeted item?
Ma'am?
Is it in the budget now?
So,
For
it was not
$75,000?
a budgeted event. No, it was not, that's what Mary Ann was saying.
This is an event.
This is.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, it's not.
Budget
Switching gears, I'm sorry.
We
Thank you.
have to do a budget amendment.
Yes, we would just have to do a budget amendment to get a marketing services company involved, right?
But that goes to council too.
Marketing and advertising to get me through the end of the year until our next fiscal year starts in October, I would be fine with that. But it would be nice to, do some business with Community Impact. They're a great magazine.
Well, look,
Very well read.
we're bound to have some kind of marketing
So if we
budget,
can
right?
just get a little bit to get us until we do our budget. Because
Where would that be in the line
Start in
item?
October anyways. Just need a little bit less.
Mary Ann's bound to know it. I don't know why, this is crazy. We need some marketing money to be able to do something.
So when your budget was put together, there was not a great deal of cushion put in your budget for
Okay.
this year. That being said, your social media and advertising line, where you had $3,400 that was budgeted, those items, based on historically what you've been doing, which you referenced putting the post out on Facebook, MailChimp, the Bitly subscription, the MapMe, all of those type of things are in there. So there isn't like excess money to the extent y'all were talking about. My understanding is these agreements are anywhere from like $3,500 to
$4,000 a month, yeah.
$4,000 a month. So we don't have that in here. That being said, under your consulting and professional service line, you may recall when that item was put into your budget, a portion of that included an EDC consultant. And that was something that the previous city administrator had been a proponent of when you all had considered last year looking at an EDC director. And so the idea was that there might be a progression towards an EDC consultant, and that is different than your retail strategies agreements. Your
Okay.
Retail strategies agreements are already budgeted here under that consulting and professional services. I don't know the exact number for you this evening on what that was for the EDC consultant.
It's
but
$254,000.
I'm talking about specifically the EDC consultant.
I think it was
The
50.
portion of that 254,000
Okay.
that was reserved or
It's not broken down on the,
not on this sheet, it's not.
it's somewhere else broken down.
It's whatever we decided the wages were for that director.
Okay, so we probably was 50,000, so,
There is potentially, you do, and that this is a consulting type professional service.
right.
So there is a line item that can come from. Again, this expenditure, I realize you're talking about $3,400 a month. However, cumulative for that service for the year far exceeds the $10,000.
We're just looking to get by until October's budget where we'll allocate,
So what I
assuming that everybody's in
is
favor.
You do not want to end up in a situation where you are piecemealing things together, and at the end of the period, we have exceeded the amount that we need to be aware of. So keep that in mind as you move forward on this.
so what's the recommendation? Would you say use portion of that just for advertising, consulting services, but not, it's only we'll spend well less than that.
So, and again, this is a learning experience for me as well, because my previous EDC we did not go through that 10,000 every time we were spending money. So that's, what's that? My last one. Yeah, yours did. And so this is, it's different for me. But if we are going to spend, if EDC is going to spend cumulatively $10,000 in marketing services for this year, we would need to go through the process for the posting.
You mean excess of 10,000?
8.5 or 9.
Yeah, spend all those on.
If you're only going to spend $8,000 in the remaining portion of this fiscal year,
If it's under 10,000, then you're fine.
I think we would for sure
Probably not.
get under 10,000. We can pull that from the consulting budget, is what you're saying.
yes.
Okay.
There
Allow you to advertise
there was
anything.
specifically one
Okay.
that was budgeted in there for that EDC consultant that I don't see on your horizon.
All right, so we'll get it on the next budget, but in the meantime, you have budgeted money to be able to go out and get some marketing support.
Don't spend over there.
Just don't spend over 10K.
No. I want to give you some pictures of downtown and really have someone video and just kind of start telling our story, where we are and where we're
Okay.
going, and
I think it'll be great. Just, so we don't really need to do anything on this right now.
We take no action.
It's, your recommendation was to table it for now?
I agree, yes.
Okay. So, do we need a motion to table it? Yes, we do.
Is there any further action on this at all? If not, then you would take no action and not table it, because if you table it, you have to bring it back to the next following meeting.
That's right.
It's better just take no action.
Okay, we'll take no action on this item then. Okay, so everybody agree with on that? Okay. All right, Stephanie, are you up again? Okay, so give me, I see.
Number 8.
See, I have everything on there, Brian. I have all the items in this.
I saw it, it was in my packet,
Okay.
I didn't take the time.
We'll look it over and we'll get to it and we'll get it back up on the agenda, yeah. All right, so item, gosh, I'm... Eight, I know, I'm trying to uncover here. Okay, so item number 8 is consideration possible, is for the reimbursement for the logo, God help us.
Go ahead, read the language.
I know. Consideration of possible action to reimburse Jeff Angelo for the branding kit development for the marketing logo in the amount of $1579.99.
I'll make a motion to reimburse Jeff Angelo for the branding kit development for a marketing logo in the amount of $1,579.99.
I second.
Okay, it's been motion seconded that reimbursement to myself for the branding kit development for the marketing logo in the amount of $1579.99 is approved. All those in favor say, it's a one-vote debatable, that requires a majority vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, so that motion passes. We'll go on to the next item is discussion of downtown enhancement project, and that is, this is just a discussion item, so item number 9. Miss Stephanie, what do you got?
Short and sweet. So the property that the city owns, 105 and 149, right there beside the Nat Museum in Remax.
Yes.
The possibility of maybe making that into like a green walking space and put some stuff, I don't think it would cost a lot of money. I don't know, we'd have to get some bids for that, but
Right.
I know the city and MEDC is working on some really big projects for downtown. So I was thinking maybe this is something small, low-hanging fruit that the downtown businesses will see and appreciate, and, so that they know that we are making something happen.
Okay.
So this is a
So
landscape.
I don't know, it's just a suggestion, for discussion, and we can talk about that a little bit more in the next meeting, because we,
Did you ever talk to the farmer's market about,
Yeah, we did.
they weren't interested?
Well, they never come back with anything, even though we met with them and
It'd be a great spot for it.
Yeah, my idea was
It's too big, too small.
potentially put some gravel down for parking, and then let the people at the farmer's market come and set up on weekends to fill in the space.
the problem is they're way bigger than that.
Yeah, it's pretty small. So, I don't want to turn it into a park, because the original plan for this area was to put some historic buildings and make it like, it was part of the downtown plan. And I don't want to start investing in this if it doesn't really follow that plan, and there's maybe some other long-term plans we have for that whole stretch there. I don't know. I just don't see making it look nice, yes, potentially, but I don't want to put a lot of money into it unless we're very clear on how we want to kind of tie it all together, I guess.
I mean, I think we could do some cleanup around the electronic sign and stuff like that. All that needs to be landscaped.
Some landscaping.
Maybe we can do some landscaping.
Not any hardscape or expensive hardscaping.
Yeah, but just something to clean it up a little bit. Do you have a big watering can? Because I don't think there's any irrigation out there, is it?
it was just a suggestion, just talking to the downtown businesses, because they're like, I just hear so much, as we just don't see anything, and I'm just like, hang in there, just, they want to see something.
You know,
In our concept, the original plans of the downtown concept revitalization, there was something on that.
We had a big sign that said City of Montgomery. Yeah. Like one of 5 now that we've got.
Honestly, I would be happy with this workshop reel and a little bit of advertising, and maybe put the spotlight on them. I think with the marketing and advertising, I think that they're,
But I'm in agreement. I mean, that's a gateway to the city. I mean,
it's just we need to have
as much as I hate Jack in the Box on the opposite corner, you gotta do something to create some kind of vibe. And
where did you get these?
We have a vibe in that
AI? You sneaky Stephanie.
So the downtown master plan, we had this block scoped out to do something with it.
Yeah, we
Benches and little walkways.
It was like a community center with the sign and some buildings, but it wasn't like solidified, so. Yeah, is that what we want to go after? Is that what, I mean, we've been focusing on other parts of the downtown plan. This was always took like a back seat, and I guess the question is, do we want to also look at that?
Well, now that we have the land, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's probably the most visible out of everything we do.
That's
You know,
true.
So you don't have to make a park out of the whole thing, but maybe concentrate on at the major corner, you know, with signage, you know, maybe a different monument sign. It's not,
I don't know what the next step is, maybe having an engineer or architect lay out the lot per the downtown plan.
That's what I was looking for, was the plan. It used to sit in here on the desk for 2 years. It laid right there. Now it's
I can kind of see it. It had like landscaping and some park benches. It had like 3 buildings, and it was like informational buildings. And but it was schematic. We would need someone to come in here and lay it out and design it. That'd be an architecture and engineering team that would come in and lay it out for us. So
I think some low impact stuff where you're not dictating the use, but at the same time dressing up the corner, because it is a curb appeal, you know, and the monument sign are to be a part of that.
the next step, I think, would be, if we were interested in doing that, is sending out requests for proposals for a architecture engineering team to give us a design.
And they certainly already have ideas that we're not thinking of. So.
For the downtown plan,
Who do we get to do that?
So part of the downtown plan, that original one, was that parking lot that we did the engineering on already, the design for 12, 15 spots, and then there was a park area with the sign.
Right.
Yeah. It's already,
And
it
hasn't,
needs to be engineered.
but
Ms. Tilly? Didn't MERS already complete, give us estimates on what all that would cost?
for the McCown, yeah.
For signage.
Well, yeah, for the monument signs and everything else? Wayfinding, but also they did
Not for that side.
Not for that side, okay.
This was like an artsy thing.
Yeah.
All right, so who would we get to do that? Go to A&M.
We hire
Talk about it at the next meeting.
We hire someone to lay it out.
It's a Burdett type architect that does it.
You get an architect to lay it out, they get an engineer to help design it all, and they lay out the whole site. And from there, we would then decide if we want to build it or not.
So is
That's
that,
my concern, is that we're kind of going signage, McCown Street, now we got this thing, and we're gonna get started. You got cash,
And nothing's been
but
done.
only good. That's what I'm saying, focus on McCown, let's focus on MERS, let's get this stuff finished.
well, we have MERS coming up yet. All right, so I think there's a heart for the park, we just don't have the bucks yet. And we definitely don't have the design. While AI is very nice, by the way, I thought that you did a good job with that. But I think we need to, maybe, let's see if we can do some baby steps, we probably
I
have,
think we just need to wait until we finish some of these other big stuff that we started. Let's finish what we started on these other things, and then we come around, we'll have a bigger sales revenue or, income stream coming in. And we can then focus on this as a next.
But I think until then, we should utilize, like I said, a market and have people utilize it.
Well, there's no one who's been interested in it.
he's not,
We've already looked around.
we tried, we met with him, and we even showed him the city-owned building, about maybe taking a look at that, and I did nothing, crickets since then. So I don't think he thinks that we're big enough, or we have enough, meaning we don't have enough space because they got to park their cars where they.
So they would fit, it's just nowhere to park.
Yeah, there's nowhere to park for other people. So that's what's been holding it.
But, I mean, we're open to ideas for, some type of leasing it out to somebody who would really be able to improve that space. We just don't have any good ideas other
It's
than,
a huge monster-sized space.
and like, I was thinking food trucks, but like, there's a confrontation about food trucks, and do you want that to be the interest of your city?
No.
I think so.
Nothing.
I don't know who else would use it, but I'm open to ideas of what we can use it in the short term for sure.
Why don't we just, I hate to say it again, but maybe just table it till we can figure out a better solution. I think you're right about we need something, but we probably have a budget for blight and other things like that. kind of assumed that we could maybe get some general landscaping done around that area, and you could show some pretty stuff to at least.
We don't need the architect now, that we can hire.
No, we'll just get a landscape.
If we want.
Yeah.
Do that.
AMA Plants does great work right there on the corner.
We could lay some gravel down and make it a little walking path.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be.
You don't need a.
No hardscape, is what I'm saying, because you could just go out there and do it, and then we're not setting in stone what the.
Yeah, just make sure it's not something that's literally set in stone, okay? And go have fun with it, make it pretty. You have an eye for that kind of stuff, I know that. So talk with the owner over at A&A, that's a Montgomery business, and they do fantastic work. They work with the museum and other people. They'll be.
Yeah, I would be open to that if you bring back a cost of what they think it would cost.
Yeah.
Just make it, spruce it up a little bit.
Let's do it before it gets too hot.
Yeah, because that's the other thing, there's no water there.
But yeah, you gotta have water.
Are we gonna put some irrigation in to keep it alive, or we just gonna pay for it in the spring every year?
You gotta make it. You can put succulents in, they'll last forever.
Yeah.
I'm not a plant person, so I don't know.
Is there water, Chris? Where is water? Okay, so we just need to get an irrigation meter.
There's water on the county and all that.
And that irrigation, and a landscape guy can do irrigation.
Yeah, just put a small irrigation system, what we need to do.
Well, it's just a
We're just giving you suggestions on what to bring to the next meeting.
Yeah, next meeting we can come back with some, if you want.
New ideas.
If you want to take it and run with it, our suggestion is get a landscaper, tell us what it would take to get irrigation and some nice plants.
Do you have to get multiple bids, or can we just, no? Okay.
I don't think so.
Yes, Tilly?
Just something to add, make sure that we stay completely within our property, out of the right of way.
Okay.
There's probably a survey or something like that.
I think we've got a survey when we bought the property, right? Yeah, we have a survey.
So Stephanie, the idea would be to, let's get a landscaper to give us a budget for it, cleaning it up, maybe some thumbnail drawings so we can take a peek at it, and let's push it for next month.
Okay, so I'll try my best to do that, and I appreciate what you guys have approved, and I do have some stuff on my plate coming up with this.
You got a month.
Wine, so I wasn't really anticipating it starting like right now, so.
Oh. Okay, we'll see you in a few months then. How about that?
Just,
It'd be nice to have it all done before the beer garden thing, though.
Yeah, my gosh. Can you build it before these guys show up? Anyway, I tell you what, just however you want, whatever your time allows, okay? Maybe it's a phone call and let them Jesus take the wheel it or something. Tilly, you're up, okay? So let's see, we're going to update on our wayfinding signage. Next up to the podium is Corinne Tilly, Code Enforcement Officer and Planning and Zoning Administrator. Let her rip, potato chip.
Did you want to?
I'm sorry. I'm getting tired, I'm getting fired, it's probably, I'm trying to do my best. Go ahead, Tilly.
First thing on the update is, I wanted to schedule the teams meeting. I sent you all a text, at least the steering team. We can discuss when you'd like to have it. I spoke with Mr. Swantek of Merge. He's asking maybe Monday or Tuesday morning next week. And if y'all are available, I will schedule that.
My Mondays are always full, so Tuesday,
Monday is always full, Tuesday.
morning's a little.
I'm available either day, I'm free, relatively cheap.
Tuesday sounds good.
All right, and do we want to have most of us here in the conference room for that teams meeting with Merge, or does everyone want to be on that teams meeting?
I'll probably show up. I'll probably just show up here.
I can be here too,
All right,
but you may need to be on
I'll still send
Zoom.
you.
Just has, I have so this is the 25th, Tuesday?
Tuesday is the 25th?
Yeah, so I have a meeting from 9 to 10, so I can come after that.
So maybe 10?
9 to 10, he's got a meeting, so maybe 11?
So 10:30 to 11?
10:30 to whatever, till noon, I'm available.
Okay. All right. And the other part, I've shared what the budget proposal was that Merge submitted back in February. Thought maybe you'd like to see that. It broke everything down.
It's right there. We actually had it bidded out already.
It broke the cost of the fabricating signs, the installation of the signs, separated them in different phases.
I missed that.
So, did you miss that one? Page 64, 65.
So tell me, did you go through and, based on our discussions, and break these into phases for us?
No, they broke it.
They did? Okay.
This is I thought this was their, okay, so this is the cost estimate.
Yeah.
And again, that was from February
Okay, if you guys need to see it.
A little
I'm
bit.
sure they'll probably have to
Increase.
update that.
Okay. That's not bad.
Not bad at all.
Phase one is like 4 times more than phase one.
So it's because it incorporates almost all of them.
Yeah, so why didn't you break it out more?
Because where the signs were located in phase one were all kind of,
We didn't break it out in
they kind of, what's that?
We didn't have 3, did we have 3 phases?
Yeah, we did.
3 phases here.
So this is the phasing that we came up with.
This is what we all discussed.
We did one small center phase, and then one big phase.
You're talking about last year.
Yeah.
So,
Based the proposal on it.
okay, Casey, to explain it all?
I'm good with it.
Okay, yeah,
If there's method behind the madness, I'm fine.
it was because in the first phase, they kind of all needed to be a part of that one group. And it showed, and then the second phase were kind of tertiary, and the third was outbounds. I mean, we didn't even complete that for 2
This is from last year, though. This isn't what we had a discussion on.
Not recent, this is from last year.
Oh,
And I don't remember what,
24.
I don't know, I have no idea what the phasing plan was. That's why we came up with our own plan. So, you can almost,
so Ryan, are you saying, I thought these phases were the ones that we
no,
discussed?
these are from 2024.
It just seems like you're gonna blow your whole year's budget with one phase.
So maybe what we need to do is go back and highlight the areas that we talked about. We'd have to go through the plan.
If you're talking about the meeting that we had
Yes.
recently,
Yes.
right, we don't have that in phases like this. This was just an example of what the cost was, the installation,
Okay,
fabrication,
okay.
so that we know.
So we could go back, could we go back and look at these identifiers and phase it out the way we discussed doing
Why
it?
don't we just send them the 2 phases?
All the way out.
We only did 2, right?
We had 2 phases. Can we just send that back to Merge and say, does this make sense, and can you give us a cost for it?
We could do that.
Let's do that.
We'll do that.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry, I was confused. I thought,
That was just an example so that you knew that last year they did phase the project out
they did put us a budget together.
Just an example.
That's great, okay.
with amounts and everything.
And they've already got the company to do it and everything, so.
Well, we bid it out, probably.
Yeah, that's something you have to bid.
Okay. All right, so,
And then for the next page, just for your reference, they had recommended contractors, if we needed a list of who was going to be able to fabricate and install. Just a little recommendation. This is a reference.
is that the list, this is the list in the back here?
Yes, it's the,
Now, this has to be competitive bid, right?
Yes. Wait, what?
Yeah.
The construction?
This is sealed bid for this.
What's the expenditure?
Like $1 million,
$1 million? Oh, yeah.
roughly.
More than 10,000. Okay. All right,
I don't know if it's $2,000, but
so Ryan, would you be able to look at any of these companies and recognize which ones have?
no, I don't do signs.
You have signs? Nobody does signs.
So we'll submit bids. We'll get bids from contractors.
So would we submit it to all these guys? And
No, we would have staff do it.
Staff?
On the bidding sites or whatever.
Yeah, no, we better bid.
So it'd be a competitive bid where we get contractors to bid out.
One of the ones
Yeah, we publicly advertise.
Yeah, I guess y'all do the bid, y'all publicly advertise for us, right? To bid.
Yeah, not for this one specifically, but for the city, yes. It'll be publicly advertised, it'll be on the paper, hire 2 consecutive weeks, you have a pre-bid meeting, you open sealed bids at a set time.
But Chris, you guys handle that, right?
Merge is handling this, that was the.
That was the conversation you and I had, yeah.
Yesterday, or not yesterday, a couple weeks ago, the merge department did in their contract, they will handle permitting the bid.
Okay. All right, so in our team's meeting, we can kind of confirm that with them and move forward? Okay.
that's what we're looking for. Now, the team's meeting will just include
Yeah.
All right, and the next item, that merge had stated, what we'll need to do is do the final review and sign off on the messages. Remember how you had the question of what kind of message we were going to have on certain signs?
Right.
Because it wasn't set in stone yet what that message would be.
Okay.
We just have to decide on that, what kind of message.
Okay.
I was a little confused about where we needed to solidify those messages. Are they going to tell us, like, hey, y'all need to come up with verbiage here? Is that what the plan?
Yes, yes. It shows on the design packet.
Yeah, it was confusing though. I just wanted it to be clear to me, to like, this is where you need to put in.
Need some ad lib marks, right? Ad lib here.
Yeah, or something to say, you know, gibberish here and say, this is where you put your stuff.
Right.
The little red arrow stickers that say.
Okay, and then-
It took like 4 steps to understand, here's the map, a
Yeah.
location of a sign, and then you had to go to the next section to find what that sign design was, and then you go to the next section that shows
Yeah, it's
what
confusing.
we need to, yeah.
I had to sit down for like an hour and figure it out.
all right, so these items that you have on here, Tilly, those are the ones,
Yes,
that's what we're
those are
going to
the-
be discussing?
Those are the steps that we need to fulfill with merge. So what
Okay.
they'll do is, we need that final review to sign off on the messages. We'll do the text up review.
Okay.
And I understand maybe it isn't Mr. Lynn Champagne of TextSat. That's who I've been trying to contact. It might be Abe, Mr. Guzman, possibly. So Mr. Guzman, I'm going to try and get a hold of for the TextSat review. Precinct 1, I sent a packet to Sergeant Cade. I think he's more their inspector and their enforcement for Precinct 1, so I'll get with their engineers and find out which signs. I've already sent the location, the signs, the detail of the sign, to see what permitting process we need through the county in order to place the signs along Molestar Park.
Okay,
And then we just have to figure out a phasing plan, and then that's when we'll get the budget finalization.
okay, good. Well, it's moving along for sure. It's going to really move along this time, right? Now that you're involved? Yes, that's what all right, okay. I think we're a little bit closer, Ryan, right? Okay, all right. Good, thank you. The government does not move fast. We're getting better. We're getting better at moving less slow. Okay, so is the final item on the agenda? Not really? No, we got more? So we have a report and recap, on event recap, right? And this is going to be, this is you, Stephanie. This is October 23rd through March 3rd.
Yeah, I just wanted to say just real briefly, you have it. If you have any questions, let me know. It's just the checks and balances. Pretty much of the first quarter, the events that we've had, some of the stuff that I've been working on, back of the house stuff. And with the help of our A-team here on staff, we've been able to...
These are just all the things.
Well, you guys know from the agendas, taking on a lot. So excited about where we're going, a lot going on, and it's exciting reading through some of the information.
All this stuff.
Like the 2020 comprehensive plan. Anyway, if you have any questions, let me know.
Very good.
That's it. From me.
Thank you, Stephanie. And it is a lot, and we appreciate you. Elon Musk would be proud of you. Anyway. Miss Marianne, okay. Marianne, we're going to, okay, so let me just phone that runway just a little bit. EDC, last payment of the half-cent sales tax is reflected in the attached reports for February 2025. It's a very large payment due to a controller audit finding, which is why the sales tax deposited this much is so much more than usual. As a result, NEDC has nearly reached its potential sales tax revenue for the fiscal year. So take it away, Mary Ann.
All right. Anybody have any questions about the finance report?
Can you explain that a little bit? When you say an accounting audit, what happened?
Sure. So state comptroller is constantly auditing sales tax, constantly. And in sales tax payments that are made to the city, they are broken down into a variety of categories, including like another jurisdiction. That has happened in the past. But sales tax data is, the granular data is confidential. And while you'll see in the reports that are in the council packets each month, there is some information that's available as far as the top, 10, 25 taxpayers, that kind of thing, and a cumulative number. But as far as like specifics as to which retailers have given, how much of our sales tax is specifically from one retailer, that's considered confidential data. So in the case of these audit payments, that's also confidential data. So the information that I can provide to you is that, and this is actually part of the next week's council meeting, I think this number, I think there was like 45 sales taxpayers that were a part of this. So I can tell you that. I can tell you that it goes all the way back, that audit period, I believe goes all the way back to 2014. So there is, that was a substantial payment. It was like $236,000 over those 45 taxpayers. It does not mean that they are necessarily brick and mortar here. It just means that it was, it could be things that are online or whatever, but it is sales tax dollars that belong to the city, and it is based on comptroller audits. So these are hard figures, but yes, that's why our payment was nearly $1 million last month. Wow. Overall sales tax.
So, all right, so generally speaking, am I understanding this right, that our total balance is 3.7, or is it more than, is it?
So if you look at your sales tax revenue, we budgeted $865,000. Last month, we deposited $234,752. Bringing your this collectively to $774,587, and you have your just $91,000 for this
And that's through the end of February.
But that's
This is through the end of February.
to the end of it.
So we still have 7 months to go.
So we will definitely be bringing in additional revenues. And that's one of the things to consider when we're looking at low wayfinding signs, looking at any of those projects.
Okay.
There will definitely be a surplus in sales tax, even projections in working with our sales tax group. This particular payment, I reached out immediately when I saw my report. I said, holy cow, what happened? And she said, she was actually, you were on my list to call this afternoon because we did the same thing when that report came through. We went, why is there a spike in Montgomery? So, yeah.
Well, that's good. Found money's always fun.
That's right.
Okay, so we're trimming rather well. What is your expectation? Well, I've got a couple of questions. First off, when does the special police district funding kick in?
Now.
This month, right?
So sales tax that started when somebody went to a retailer after January 1st, that sales tax is what is being deposited this month.
Okay.
So you collect in the month of January, you submit to the comptroller in February, comptroller does all their calculations, and in March, they deposit that money to the city.
So it's always basically 1 month in arrears from the time it was paid.
Well,
2 months from the time it was paid in, collected, but yeah, okay.
CCPD, rightfully was the owner of those sales tax dollars that were paid starting in January 1st. So this payment that we received in March will now be divided up. That half a cent will be divided between CCPD and these.
So even in spite of that, we should be able to hit our,
Just fine. Yep.
okay, good.
You will be just fine. the EDC has participated in 380 agreements. There is a portion of EDC sales tax that goes back to Kroger and to the shops at Montgomery. So you do currently participate in 380 agreements. One of the pieces that they presented to you, I think, talked about the fact that their projected sales tax is 1.3 million. And the gentleman made a reference to the fact that, well, in 4 years, that amount would be paid back. Not exactly correct information. When sales tax comes in, so the city collects 2 cents, right? And now a quarter of a cent is going to come to you, a quarter of a cent goes to CCPD. That leaves 1.5 cents. A half a cent automatically goes to sales tax to reduce property tax. So the city is left with 1 penny. So even if the city were to commit to that $4 million, that sales tax figure that they gave is cut in half. The city doesn't have 1.3 for the year to give back to them. They would have half of that if they chose to give back the full cent. So those are the kind of things that we'll be discussing in the workshop next week. If you're able to attend the workshop, I encourage you to open workshop. Won't be any decisions made, but we will have a discussion about 380s and kind of how that works and what it means for the city and and EDC.
Because what you're saying is the money's already committed, and so, right?
So that half a cent, so voters have chosen, right? The voters chose to fund CCPD, voters chose to fund MEDC, voters chose to fund, put a portion of that half a cent towards reducing property tax. So that's how it gets divided up. That other penny is what goes into the general fund, and that it goes for general operations.
Right.
And, so there's some things to think about. We'll be talking about that.
Okay, good. You'll be able to break it down a little bit more for us to show us what
We'll
the,
talk about a little bit how it works and discuss what the commitments are on the current 380s. So.
okay, good.
We are very committed, just so you know.
What was that?
We have a lot of commitments.
Like 380?
Yes. A lot of stuff just ran free.
Any other questions?
I don't have any other questions, somebody?
I have a question on that Kroger one. How long we're still under that 380?
Yeah, I'm still under program.
How long is that?
The big figures on Monday, but yeah, it's a pretty significant dollar amount, like 5.6 million. And I think it goes through 31?
Wow. So that was,
29 or 31, I have to look back and remember, but
that was 5
I'm pretty sure we'll reach the 15-year mark before we reach the 5.
So that was 5.6, and these guys are asking for 4, so smaller project in comparison.
Yep. This is my big complaint about this thing. They're asking for a lot.
Yeah, the Kroger.
A lot less sales tax than what
Sales
Kroger
tax
generates.
And property tax, and it's not just Kroger, it's
The whole shop, the whole.
Yeah, the whole center.
The whole center.
That's what I mean, it's a lot less sales
The whole
tax.
footprint.
It's a lot less sales tax. Okay.
When is that meeting, the budget meeting? I mean, the workshop?
Monday at 6 p.m.
Monday at 6 p.m. Got it. Okay.
So the 16 years wasn't too far off.
No, I'm telling you, I'm not far off. If we can get it paid off in 16, because to her math, we're not dealing with the whole 1.4, whatever that they're.
He doesn't.
See, that is not a concern.
He doesn't understand, he doesn't understand what we're dealing with.
right. And we'll
dynamics of how we're voting.
Yeah.
Or,
Will they be there as well, this company? Okay, okay. Well, then we'll explain it to them at that point so they can maybe sharpen the pencil a little bit. I'm sure there's other ways. Maybe they can get a sponsorship, Stephanie knows people. Okay, so let's see here. We are going to, thank you very much, Mary Ann. Thanks for breaking it down. And that's good news, too. We appreciate the good news. All right, so we,
They could also lose that money. Is it possible to lose $1 million? Like in like you said, there's a negative correction?
Yeah, oh, well, the
Which is always-
280,000, we could.
I know, but the total was $1 million that we found under couch cushion could be.
So in all honesty, like some of that money that is coming from that audit, in all likelihood, is because it went to other jurisdictions that shouldn't have come here.
Yeah.
Now, my hope is that that wasn't in one jurisdiction and they had.
Yeah, somebody had a negative.
But-
The city of Magnolia.
So if you recall, a few years ago, you may be aware of this.
I remember that.
The city of Montgomery received a very large tax deposit one month. And it was for a business that was not in this jurisdiction. And so it was known that that money would have to go to its rightful jurisdiction. There's a process. So that money was set aside because it's not like you can just send that money back to the comptroller and say, oh, whoops, this wasn't ours, figure out how to get it to the right people. We have to wait for it to go through that process.
I see.
So in this case, and again, I don't know specifically like what jurisdictions were impacted, but my suspicion is that it was very spread across many jurisdictions. I do know that in that 45, that number of 45 entities that were a part of that audit, that there were a handful, maybe like 5 or 6 of them, that was actually a refund. It was a very small amount, but where we were overpaid. And so that does happen, and that's just a part of the normal every month kind of thing that happens. Some cities don't have that because they've got a very like tight little area and they don't have, kind of a spread, a sprawl of their jurisdiction. But where we are, we're just on this, a lot of times our border, right? So there's retail right on the border. And so it's not necessarily ours. So.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, Mary Ann. Okay, so we're going to,
We make a motion to accept the financial report.
Yes.
February 20, 2025.
second. The motion is seconded that we accept the financial report for the period of February 28, 2025. It's amendable, durable, requires a majority vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so that motion carries. So we have a section for...
The second?
I did, or I did.
Yeah. So are there any board inquiries that we would like to put out? None? Okay, we'll go to the last item, was executive session. We're going to adjourn to closed executive sessions authorized by the Texas Open Meetings Act, Chapter 551 of the Government Code. This will be a closed section. We're going to be, Montgomery Economic Development Corporation will meet in a closed session pursuant to provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code in accordance with the authority contained in Section 551.072, deliberations about real property for potential land purchase.
State your time. And then you can go.
Okay, the time is 8:26, as best as my eyes can see.
Yeah, we gotta make a motion.
All right, we are back in session at 9:50. 8:50. Back up in session, and we need to make a motion.
I need to read the item first.
I'm sorry?
I need to read the item first.
Just the 599, whatever. 14.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so back in open session, Economic Development Corporation has reconvened in open session, at which time the action on the matters discussed in closed session were considered. We had deliberations about real property for potential land purpose and have made the decision to authorize Chief Solomon to...
So who's making the motion?
He's writing it up.
Motion to approve the item discussed in executive session.
Motion to approve the item discussed in executive session.
Make a motion to approve the item discussed in executive session.
Second. It's been motioned and seconded that we approve the items discussed in the executive session. It's a minimum debatable, requires a majority vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? No. Okay, the ayes carry it. I've got the sealed information from you, Ms. Button.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other items that want to be put on the agenda for the next meeting? I don't believe items considered for future placement on the future agendas, no? Okay.
What did we decide we were adding to carry over to the next one from tonight already?
We had talked about the professional marketing services.
Okay. So are we doing that though, because we kept keeping it under 10,000?
Which one?
We took no action on
The
item 7.
marketing service?
We had no action on marketing services.
Yeah,
So we're gonna keep it under 10,000?
We have $10,000 in the budget.
Yes.
Just gonna spend it.
right, we have it in the budget. It's going to be under 10,000.
Right, but as far as what needs to be on next meeting for, we don't need to, we're just gonna deal with it when we
Until
do
the
our
next
next
budget,
budget.
yeah.
Okay, is that
Right.
correct?
I believe so.
That's how I understood it. I
Yes.
understood that we were
Yes.
going to keep it under 10,000 and that we were just going to build it into the next budget and then go from there.
Okay,
Right, and then make sure that we have all our ducks in a row by the time we get to the next budget, so it will have already been approved and that kind of thing, right? So, yeah, we have, and you guys need time to look over the proposals that have already been submitted, which we have already gotten. You have it in your packet.
And then item 6 was to table, to schedule for a workshop.
yes, yeah, there we go, the workshop.
Item number 6.
The logo.
Yes,
The workshop. Okay.
okay. All right, so if there's nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn? I so move. Okay, so it's been moved that we adjourn by Dan and seconded. Okay, Ron seconded. All those in favor, say aye. Okay. Other than we don't have one of those, and that's good.